Yes, ma'am, we are live.
Namaste, good morning, and a warm welcome to all on the fourth day of this insightful and reflective 6-day international online workshop series on the theme Reimagining Early Years Education on Social and Emotional Learning in Early Years Education for Positive Life Outcomes. Organized by Samantha Education in association with KC College and Bombay Teachers Training College, the constituent colleges of HSNC University, Mumbai, and Atman Academy. Let me begin the day with a beautiful thought on the prayer that we do every morning. Prayer is the most important conversation with God. As rightly said, pray to have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgets the worst, and a soul that never loses faith in God. With this, I invite the students of Atman Academy to recite the shlokas for today. The technical team, yes, you can begin.
Ma'am, can I start?
Yes, yes, please.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakayeshu Sarvada Aum.
या कंदे तुषार हार धवला या शुभ्रवस्तान्विता या वीणावरटंड मंडितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्मांचित शंकर प्रभुदिति देवै सदा वंदिता सामान् पातु सरस्वती भगवती
Gaurangi, can you also sing Gurur Brahma?
Gurur Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Aum.
Thank you, beautiful and wonderful souls, for doing that, for reciting the beautiful shlokas for us. I request the technical team to begin with the BTTC college prayer.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
I now request the student volunteers, Zubia and Salome, to play the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Before we begin today's session, I would like to read the highlights of yesterday's session. The theme for the session was Understanding Emotional Intelligence, and the resource person was Miss Amber Paulson, Director of Education, Think Equal USA. She inquired about how comfortable we are with social and emotional intelligence. With this, the meaning of IQ and EQ were discussed. Ms. Paulson informed that EQ is more trickier and it can enhance for the adults through various coaching programs. For success, both EQ and IQ are important. She explained about the brain development and how experiences shape the brain architecture in the first year of life, that is from birth to the age of 14. She correlated the emotional intelligence and early years and pointed out that emotional intelligence positively affects academic achievement of college students and social life. EQ is a social aspect and IQ is an academic aspect. Miss Amber Paulson also quoted few examples of books like Anjali's Sky, and she conveyed the message that ownership of our belonging is important. There were various books that she mentioned, and she also recommended that every teacher should must read these books. The takeaway from this session was that we can't control and express our emotions in an effective manner. All emotions are natural and all emotions matter. The entire session was conducted and moderated by Dr. Manisha Tyagi. The topic for second technical session was emotional intelligence and early years of a child. The resource person was Dr. Kavita Arora. Early childhood years are the most important and precious years. Dr. Arora explained that brain has the capacity to learn throughout life, and motor, visual, and kinesthetic skills train the brain to come together. Dr. Arora focused on the concept of resilience and its importance in our lives. Social emotional learning can be conveyed through various books and stories like Ramayana, Jataka Tales, and Panchatantra, which are about ethics and loyalty. In the classroom, a teacher should discuss about act of kindness every day. She also narrated a story about a starfish, and she conveyed the message that how the power of one person can bring a change in the world. The takeaway for this session was that intelligence in any human being is about integrating different types of intelligences.
यार इसमें वॉल्यूम क्यों नहीं है वॉल्यूम
नहीं आ रहा है मैम? Things don't occur in compartments in our brains, and it is necessary to integrate. The session was moderated by Dr. Rajiv I. Jha. The last session, that is the technical session 3, was on the topic Stronger Communities Through Emotional Intelligence, and the resource person was Miss Rajashri Deshpande. The session began by reading a book titled Rainbows in Windows, which was made in response to COVID-19. In response to the book, she shared her experiences and the life lessons during the COVID times. She also shared by saying that her Lessons that she has learned in her life is through travel and by reading literature books. Ms. Deshpande has established an organization named Nabhangang, through which she is trying to make a difference in the community and society. She talked about empowering kids and women. Ms. Deshpande shared her insights of her childhood and the notions about different professions and jobs in the society. The takeaway from this session was we need to balance everything and accept all the facts, but most importantly, we need to act. We must keep ourselves calm and think about the issues and find solutions to it. Last but not the least, the session ended with an important thought that one must express, talk, but at the same time, listen as well. The theme for today's session is social emotional learning, 25 learning outcomes and more. Before I begin introducing the resource person, I would like to share a few of my insights about these 3 days of the amazing international workshop that I have experienced. As a teacher, I would always be very particular. Maybe I'm a perfectionist, but with this particular workshop, I'm trying to dwell upon myself. I'm trying to reflect upon myself and ask reflective questions like, is emotional intelligence so important? Is emotional and social learning so important that it affects my students? These questions have really made me think, rethink, and try to work upon my way of dealing with my students. And definitely in today's time and the present situation that we all are going through is what is all about emotions. Emotions. How do we express them? How do we show our students that we really care for them? How do we do that? Yes, these are few things which I learned through various resource and experts who were there on the panel from these 3 days. I also reflected that these experts were so simple. They led such a simple life, though they are known as celebrities, though they are known as big people in the society, though they have great name in society. But if you interact with them, they are full of emotions. That's what the aha moments that I have captured from these 3 days. And I would definitely would like to keep on refreshing this, and I'll definitely keep meeting Manjushri ma'am for this in order to keep my social and emotional intelligence at a peak, at a higher level, so that I can be like her, always smiling, always cheerful, always with so much of positive vibe. I hand over this session now to Manjushri ma'am to to give away a few important announcements for today.
A very good morning to all of you, and thank you, Lubna. I'm just snatching this session away from you for just a few minutes, and then it's going to be back in your court. It is 10:15, and the few minutes will be literally 10 because that's the time we're going to have our speaker coming in. So I am starting this morning. Unfortunately, like they say, never start any conversation with an apology, but I have to start it with an apology. I'm very sorry to inform you that Dr. Urvashi Sani sent me a message late last night. She's down with a very bad cold and she said she just can't even talk. So sadly, she's not there. But I guess what's meant to happen is happening because on Monday we weren't able to get much time with Dr. Leena Pujari, though she was going to be part of the conversations with me during the first session. So, no, not on Monday, I'm sorry, on Tuesday. So, we are going to be lucky to have her coming in, and she's going to be speaking on a very, very interesting session, which on an interesting topic. She'll come and tell you what it is. So we are going to have her coming in at 10:30. She said she has a class from 9:30 to 10:30, so she'll join us as soon as that is done. That being said, I have about 10 minutes, which I thought I would like to utilize to see all of you. Look at all of you. Wow. Wow. That is so amazing. And you know what I realized? This is a great way to get people to switch on their cameras. अभी पीला रंग पहनो बोला है तो पीला सबने पहना तो कैमरा तो अलबत्ता लगाएंगे ही लगाएंगे ना, ऐसे हो गया है. So I'm so glad you guys are looking so stunning, so gorgeous, so smart, so handsome, whatever. Oh my God, look at the cameras going on and look at the number of yellows that we are seeing. Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you for being so sporting. It kind of brings some energy into the space, doesn't it? And there's a sense of we feeling कि हम सब साथ साथ हैं वाला feeling, नहीं क्या? So thank you so much for bringing this energy. And yellow, in any case, is such a vibrant and bright color, so it does bring in a lot more energy. And we're going to see the joy of wearing yellow when I do my session in the next this thing. Post tea break, we will see why yellow. Some more yellow connections are going to be seen. Okay, so while your cameras are on, I'm going to ask you to quickly let me know, just from like Lubna has beautifully shared, just one thing, and don't make it too long, make it really crisp. Just one sentence that is with you this morning regarding the last 3 days. The one sentence that is with you, or it's going to yesterday Kavita was saying that she heard something about 10 years ago and it's still with her. So something that you feel is there for you in a control S situation. Anybody, if you can quickly share those, because those are going to be very valuable pearls of wisdom for all of us. You know, one person talks about one, and if 200 people talk about one, we have 200 valuable points, takeaway points. So anybody can start. Don't make it too long. One. Yes.
Love yourself, ma'am.
Thank you. You have to tell us your name, okay? Start with
Purvi.
hi, Purvi. Love yourself.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Purvi. Love yourself.
Wow, Purvi, thank you. Who goes next? These are called popcorns. Let's see popcorns coming out of this Zoom room.
This is Harshada Magesh. Be kind to all.
Hi, Harshada. Thank you so much. Who goes next?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. This is Priyanka.
Yeah. Hi, Priyanka.
Change can be possible at any stage.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Ma'am, Shambhavi.
Hi, Shambhavi.
Anything can happen at the last moment. So that what
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I got to read ma'am at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm said, okay, fine, we know what we can do. That's right. Thank you. Anything can happen. Be prepared for it with a smile.
Yeah.
Who goes next? Yeah. Bolo, Varsha and Manisha.
Yes. I think it's Manisha.
Sorry?
It's Manisha.
Oh, Manisha. Oh, sorry. Manisha.
Be positive and happy at every time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Huh?
Hello, Vatsala here.
Hi, Vatsala.
Good morning. I really enjoyed all your sessions and I've been attending regularly. Only thing, my point of view is be original at all times.
क्या बात है? Be original. Thank you, Vatsala.
Yeah.
Very nice. 3 participants have raised hands.
Ma'am, this is Supriya.
I'll call out names because I can see hands being raised. That sounds good. So, Monica, can you just keep your audios on mute? Yeah. Monica.
Yes, good morning, Manjushri ma'am. So the one thing that is stuck in my mind in these days is that we really need to learn to express, but first we also need to learn to listen. because there's a need for a lot of people to listen. Only then we'll have more people who will express, because we have people who will listen.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. Very nice. You know, I have to tell you this quickly. I sing, and from my childhood I've always heard my mother saying that तानसेन 10 होने से क्या फायदा है, कानसेन की जरूरत है. So कानसेन होना बहुत जरूरी है. आप और मैं कानसेन पहले बनेंगे तो तानसेन को कोई सुनेगा. Thank you. Yes, Sangeeta, you go next, and then Sunita.
Ma'am, find ways to develop the heart of the child rather than only focusing on the head of the child, which sadly our curriculum focuses more on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Sunita, one quick sentence. You're on mute. You're on mute, Sunita.
Good morning, Manjushri ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I sum it up in 2 words: passion infinite.
Wow. Thank you. That's lovely, Sunita. Thank you. Kea.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I learned that don't adopt, but adapt.
Wow. Fantastic. Very nice. Thank you so much. Sheetal.
Good morning, ma'am. This is Dr. Sheetal. I think love and accept everyone as they are and start with yourself first.
Wow. Shabas. Must. Bahut very nice. Thank you so much, Dr. Sheetal. Manjusha. Manjusha, are you there?
Oh. Yes, I'm there.
Bolo.
Good morning, ma'am. I feel that being equal is a very big thing. So we have to work towards it from ourselves. We have to respect ourselves and then respect each one of our friends, family, everybody.
Wow.
So that's my takeaway from this whole thing.
Thank you. And I think as many times as it's being said, I think it's a reiteration that yes, everything begins. You know, why was the quote, charity begins at home? Everything begins at home. It all begins with me. You know, I need to love myself, then I can love others. I need to respect myself, then I can respect others. Thank you so much, Manjusha. Now, Arya?
Manjushri, just to tell you that I have joined. Take your time. Take your time.
Okay, super. So okay, we'll just take 2 more.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, lovely. So Ria and Sucharita and Supriya and Runa, I can see these hands up. That's it. We'll just take those and then we'll move on to Lina's sessions. She's here.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Are you going to be speaking, Sucharita?
Yeah. Thank you, Manjushri ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I want to say first love kids and save nature and enjoy every moment.
Wow.
Every moment of our job as well as with our family, with our friends. Enjoy, only enjoy.
Wow, super. Thank you so much, Sucharita. Monica? Monica? Are you there? Your video is not on. Okay. Supriya?
Yes, ma'am. This is Supriya here. So, ma'am, till yesterday I had no clue that we had our mythological stories also had an SEL factor. So now I think I'll go to the Panchatantras and read a bit on those so that we can inculcate in our stories those factors of having an SEL through them.
Wow. Super. Thank you so much. And Megharani and Runa. That will be the last 2.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I believe, yes, be good, do good, and definitely you will get good. So this one thing we should always follow in life.
Nice.
What I believe is.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Megharani.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Runa.
Yes, ma'am.
We take the last one from Runa.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Ma'am, I think acceptance is the biggest thing. Once you start accepting everything, the change will automatically come.
How lovely. How wonderful. So beautiful. I think, you know what, you've kind of almost set the ball rolling for our 25 learning outcomes and, the theme, because all of these things are learning outcomes that we talk about. So thank you so much, lovely people. Thank you so much for being so sporting and wearing yellow today. And we welcome our next guest, Dr. Leena Pujari. Over to Lubna. Thank you, Lubna. I'm giving back the platform to you. Please go ahead and do the needful of moderating Lina's session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And welcome to the first technical session on the topic sex, sexuality, and gender. We have with us an eminent speaker, Dr. Leena Pujari, who's a feminist sociologist and researcher, and who believes in teaching for social transformation and in nurturing critical and analytical minds. Currently, she is Associate Professor and Head, Department of Sociology, KC College. She specializes in gender studies and has been passionately involved for 2 decades in creating a gender-just and emancipatory space on campus. Among her several meaningful initiatives as convener of the Gender Issues Cell of her college includes a certificate course in gender studies to help build a critical feminist perspective among students, setting up a legal cell, a first kind of its initiative for the undergraduate colleges in Mumbai to provide free legal counseling to students and staff members on issues of domestic violence and sexual harassment. She has published in acclaimed national and international journals. Her contribution has been immense by writing papers and chapters in well-known books and journals. Her most recent contribution was in 2019 with the topic Disrupting the Gender Binary, Querying Feminist Pedagogy in an edited volume, published by Routledge. She also has many contributions to her credit, where she has written the most recent publication is the title Doing Sociology of Gender in the Classroom, Reimagining Pedagogies, published by Sage, and many more titles on gender, sex, and gender issues topic. As a member of the Board of Studies in Sociology, she has contributed extensively to curriculum development and design. She is an avid researcher and has researched on tribal women in Odisha, child rights in Mumbai and New Zealand, and most recently led a team of researchers on an UNFPA-funded project on major media houses in Mumbai and their gender-sensitive components. Ma'am, a warm welcome once again to this 6-day international workshop series on title Reimagining Early Education of Social Emotional Learning, Positive Learning Outcomes. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if my, if it gets a little wobbly, do let me know. I've been having some connectivity issues at my end, but hopefully it's sorted now, but you never know.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Thank you so much, Lubna, for that, for those kind words, for that introduction. And it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Manjushri, for inviting me here. I have been there, I can't say through and through, but I have been moving in and out of some of the sessions. And, I must say this is a very meaningful workshop. And if, as we have been talking about, especially what Leslie spoke of on the first day at the inauguration, she spoke about the need to see a world that is transformed. We're looking for transformations. And we are talking about a world where we can, sort of privilege ideas of justice, compassion, empathy. If that is what we are looking at, I think it is a wonderful thing. I've also been following the interaction that has been happening on this group. And I must say that we've had such an interactive audience, who are absorbing, taking a lot from here. And it's so nice to see this whole thing. And, I'm sure they're going to put it in practice in their schools. So I'm just wondering, where do I step in? Where do I come from? And what am I? So initially, when this thing first came to me, and I was wondering, what do I speak on? Actually, I will speak from my lived experiences, which is what I was telling Manjushri. I will speak from my position as a convener of the gender cell in my college. And that's how I get connected to students. And these students take me to their school days, okay? And they speak about so many things. And I'm going to just talk about it. So I'm actually going to talk about rethinking sex, sexuality, and gender. But before I do that, I'm going to just take you through a little bit about, my experiences with my students. So because I'm the convener of the gender cell, obviously we do a lot of workshops, we do a lot of activities, and I have been involved, as Lubna said, in creating a gender just space on campus. And an inclusive space on campus. So I bring with me experiences, stories, and narratives of my students, okay? And when they tell me about, and let me tell you, some of these stories are actually traumatic, okay? And when I listen to all that, I often wonder, why we did not make an attempt to address these issues at the school level. Okay, why did they have to live with this trauma for so many years till they came to college and they opened up? And probably they wouldn't have opened up just like that, but when you bring these issues into the classroom, when you conduct workshops for them, where they feel there is a safe space, these are issues that people will not speak to anybody about. I mean, this is something that as pedagogues and educators, we all need to understand, especially those of us who have been, who have been given this responsibility of training children in schools. And I so agreed with what Dr. Mandeep said yesterday. She said early childhood education is where teachers should be paid the maximum, right? They should be paid very well, but that is where they pay the least, because I think that's a big responsibility that you are shouldering. And I must say in fact I must congratulate all of you to be able to do that, because you really need a different kind of patience to be able to do that. So that is one part of the stories. So what are the stories that students narrate? Stories of harassment, of being bullied, of terrible mental health issues, which have not come from school directly, but which have come from family, right? Sometimes a families become spaces that are very, very violent. Our families are not safe spaces. I think I should say this, that those of us who've had, who have been blessed to have wonderful families, because we often talk about family as a site of security, warmth, cocoon. I think we are blessed, and I think it's a privilege. Not everybody has that privilege, right? And some of our students come from extremely violent families, right? They have been sexually harassed. I mean, I'm also giving you a trigger warning, because these are stories that I thought I must share, because it comes from our students, and it is important to listen to the stories. Probably at the school stage, we can do a kind of intervention, which could help in sort of reducing the trauma of what our children go through. So, it takes years for them. They don't find an outlet in school very often. And then when they come to college, and then these things are openly debated. I've often been saying this. Okay, let me share a personal story with me. So when my daughter was when she was little, small, and she heard some conversations in school, sexist conversations, which made her feel very uncomfortable, right? She approached the principal. And she said, ma'am, can we have a workshop on, sex education, or maybe just a workshop where we get to understand the gender stereotypes, how these binaries work? And the principal said, but beta, we don't have those kind of issues in our school, right? And she came back very disheartened. So this kind of denial, okay, this kind of understanding is, but it doesn't happen here, why should we do it? But it's not, why is this necessity at this stage? I think we need to move away from that a lot. I think the process has to begin in school and not when you come to college, right? So I often, my students tell me this, but ma'am, we never had these workshops in school. We never had gender sensitization workshops in school. Why not? Then we narrate another story to you, another heartwarming story. So I have a nephew. And even he came and spoke to me, and this was just last year. He said the conversations that are happening in school, he says, Masi, are dangerous. I mean, dangerous in the sense, he says, it is grotesque. And can we do something about it? I don't know. Can we talk about it to the principal? And I said, I think I really need to step in more than stepping in as a parent, it was also about, I'm so sorry. It was also about, being someone who has been invested in this area. So when I approached the principal, the principal was extremely, she responded with alacrity. And she said, please help us in some way. I know these are the things that are happening in school. Please put me in touch with some of the resource persons who do this at the school level. And of course, I did provide a list to her. And that was very nice. So what I say is, we as pedagogues, we as educators, we need to be proactive on these issues, right? I take on from Manjushri's session where she said deep diving into the self. It's very important for all of us to turn the gaze inwards, to look at ourselves, right? And to keep reflecting, to keep introspecting, not only keep looking at our privileges, keep looking at our prejudices, and never ever think that, I think I know it enough. And this learning, and I'm sharing this with you, because when I thought like this for a very long time, that I know it all, I don't really need to do anything. And the learning came from my students. I learn a lot from my students. I always say this, right? That is one part. The other part is when students come to us at the degree college, they come with, they come with a baggage of all, they're transphobic, they are misogynist, they are, casteism, communalism, they come with a lot of baggage. To get them to unlearn all that is, I think, a project that is, it is a project fraught with all kinds of challenges, but we do that. And when we do that, we often wonder again why this was not attempted in the school. I'm sure some of the things that I'm talking about must be happening in some of the schools. If that is happening, it's wonderful. In fact, I want participants to share later after I speak whether we do all these kind of things in school. And I really think we need to do a lot. Today, actually, I'm going to take you into an area that is not much talked about, okay? But it's happening. It's happening again because I see we do get a lot of students in our colleges, students with non-normative gender identities, students who refuse to identify themselves either as male or female. And we call them gender non-binary persons. That was a question that was raised by Dr. Jha yesterday to Dr. Kavita Arora, and she responded to that. And his question was, he says people who are different, okay, whether it's biological or genetic. In fact, Dr. Kavita Arora speaks very well in this area because she, at another session where I heard her, she was talking about how people come to her with these kind of, who have been extremely traumatized by the bullying that has happened in school, or about their gender, about the way they act, behave, conduct themselves in school. So some of the boys whose behaviors are often termed as effeminate, you are not man enough, right? Who was very lean, and of course, he called, at that point of time, he called himself a boy, and but short, very thin, lean. Now, one day, while he was in the library, a teacher came from behind, held him, okay, and made him, kind of stand straight, okay, and told him, stand like a man. He was extremely offended. And he was extremely traumatized, okay? Now, very often as pedagogues, we don't realize that we think we are doing it for their own self, okay? But we don't realize that they think differently, they behave differently, they want to be respected for that. We cannot judge them for the way, yesterday, I think you all had a discussion, or maybe day before, on why we must not judge people on the basis of their color, their height, their looks, and their class, and where they come from. Similarly, we cannot judge people on the basis of their sexuality or on the basis of the way they behave, just because they don't seem to fit into our own notions of what a man and a woman must look like. I don't think we must pass comments or remarks which traumatizes them. It does, okay? And let me tell you, our children today, our students today are being exposed to different kind of influences. And the one biggest source of influence is social media. I met a child in my building who tells me, who was playing only with boys, and I saw a group of girls, and I said, but you're not playing together. He tells me, Auntie, it's so boring to, and he was just 4-year-old. It's so boring to play with girls. They don't run around as fast as we do. And I'm like, this 4-year-old already knows, okay, about these kind of binaries, about these stereotypes, who knows what. I think our children are getting a lot of information at a very young age. But what they do not have is informed knowledge. And that is where I think we as educators need to step in. So having laid the context and having spoken to you about certain incidents, narrating some stories, let me now begin with what I'm supposed to do, which is I'm going to take you through this journey of a process of reflection, a process of introspection. Just help you revisit some of the ideas that we have taken for granted, that we think we have. These are not questions that we need to raise now. These are all resolved, okay? So let me kind of problematize certain things. And please feel free to share your thoughts, ideas, and opinions on it. I'm not sort of going to get into the technical aspects a lot, because that might become a little difficult for you at this stage. But here it is. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So this is rethinking sex, gender, and sexuality. Okay. Okay. So what has been the traditional understanding of gender, right? We all have learned it this way. So generally we think sex is, refers to the biological differences between men and women. And that's how we have these two terms of male and female. And we think biological differences are something that we are born with. They are immutable. Can we really change it? We can't. They are fixed. They remain for life. And these are not questions that we need to dispute, right? Gender, we say gender is masculine and feminine. So we say gender refers to socially constructed differences between men and women. You know, the differences, what you were speaking about, I think day before, I didn't catch the whole session, but I caught it in, bits and parts. So you were talking about, the differences in temperament between boys and girls. And we do see some differences, right? We do see some differences. I think someone is unmuted. Yeah, if they could just mute themselves. Okay. So, the differences in terms of behavior, attitude, so on and so forth. I'm sure you must have discussed all of this at some point of time in the workshop. So, these then become masculine and feminine, the ability to cook. I mean, I often say this, I saw this scribbled on the wall of a shopping mall that I visited, which said, when men are frustrated, they go to war. When women are frustrated, they shop. And that caught my attention. It was a mall in Thane where I live. And I said, oh my God, this is really interesting. Okay. So, we construct these very interesting stereotypes, So I once had someone who walked into, a colleague of mine who walked into a classroom, and the students were making a lot of noise. And she said, oh my God, you are all girls and yet screaming like hell. And I said, oh my God, can't girls scream? Can't they shout? So yesterday I heard again someone saying, I think, while the anchor person whose name I think began with Raju, correct me if I'm wrong, and she said very often people think I'm a man, and because they go from my name, and when they see me, they realize, yeah,
right, Dr. Raju.
Yes. So then this actually takes us to this. To the space where everything is gendered. What is it that is not gendered? You tell me. I went to buy an umbrella once, and when I entered a shop and I said I want an umbrella, the person is asking me, you want it for a man or for a woman? I said, but how an umbrella? I thought umbrella is something that everybody needs, and what is there about being a man or a woman? He says, "Nahi, madam, aajkal ye unisex chahiye kya?" I said, oh my God, I thought it was unisex, So it's really interesting. I mean, we all know when we pick up toys for children, the first question is a boy or a girl? So I tell my students, don't ask this question, right? give them toys or give them storybooks, give them, invariably we end up giving dolls and other soft kind of toys to girls. I tell my students, buy this entire set of rebel stories. This is very, very nice. And you just give it to the children and they will just love it. So everything is gendered. I mean, books are gendered, subjects are gendered. See the number of students who are in arts, see the number of students who are in science and commerce. So there is nothing in the world that is not gendered, right? And I mean, how does one fight this gendering is a question that we need to ask ourselves. And this gendering is only in terms of men and women, right? So this is gender. What is sexuality? Sexuality is a romantic attraction to someone. Sexuality is the person with whom we would like to have a relationship or be in a relationship, right? And for sexuality, we generally understand it is heteronormative. It is from the, so a man will always have a relationship with the opposite sex, women with the opposite sex, so on and so forth. And the homosexual is, of course, someone who has a relationship with the same sex person, right? Now, this has always been there. This is not something that has emerged now. We've had people who are non-binary, we have had people who are homosexual. It's just that there is more recognition now. It's just that there is perhaps more awareness now, right? But there are many places where this is not there, where this is being sidestepped, where this is being pushed under the carpet. And I think we really need to think about these things, okay? So I'll give you I'll narrate some stories here again. How does, just to briefly tell you, how do we know who's a man and a woman, right? Of course, from our gender expression. So you know that I'm a woman because I'm dressed like this, or you know that I'm a woman because from my name, Leena, right? And there is this confusion. So I once wrote in a WhatsApp group of my building, can you please add Madhu, who is my brother-in-law? I asked someone, can you please add Madhu to the group? Immediately she said, Leena, I think Madhu will have to join on her own because I'm not able to, put her in the group. And I immediately said, Madhu is my brother-in-law. And she said, oh my God, so he is Mathura Nayagam, but his short form is Madhu. So, from the names, we get so confused, so confused, right? In fact, now, we also write our pronouns. I don't know if you can see it against my name, but I generally write she, her, right? We ask people how do they want to be, what kind of pronouns do we use to address them? Because I cannot assume, just because I look like a woman, I cannot assume that I want to be addressed as a her or she. So I'm trying to take you through a little bit of complex terrain. Probably these are not ideas that you may be familiar with, but it's good to think about it because a lot of this is happening among our students, and our students come from schools where you are teaching. So obviously these ideas are also present in schools, but I really don't know. In fact, I would like to know if these are being talked about. So we know about the gender identity from our chromosomes, right? We all know for a woman it's XX and for a man it's XY, right? We also know about hormones. So we know about testosterone, we know about progesterone, we know about estrogens. I don't want to get too much into the science kind of thing, but I just want to make you reflect. And of course, there is the genitalia. So when a baby is born, I think the first piece of labeling that affects a newborn is the attribution of gender, right? It has to be entered on the birth certificate. So we have to know it's a male or a female. That's the first thing that we ask. So we know it on the basis of the genitalia, because obviously we still don't know anything about the hormones and the chromosomes until we do a test, but we know about the genitalia, and that's how the labeling is done. And then, of course, we assume that there is a perfect correspondence between sex, sexuality, and gender, right? So we think that once I'm labeled as a woman, I'm labeled as a girl at the time of birth, I grow up to be a woman, okay? I feel feminine in every respect, and everybody thinks that I will be romantically attracted to the opposite sex. So we think this is very seamless, very harmonious, right? And that a woman is supposed to be feminine and naturally attracted to a man. So it seems to be very harmonious. And we see it everywhere, isn't it? I call this the heteronormative regime, not I. There have been theorists actually who have named it. And this heteronormative regime is, heteronormative means division into male and female. As simple as that, male and female, right? So we see it in our families, right? Socialization happens like that. We raise our children to be masculine and feminine. Again, I heard another speaker on someday, I don't know when, but she was talking about why can't we raise children to be simply human beings? We don't do that, right? We raise them to be either boys or to be girls, right? In educational institutions, we see the same thing. We see it in marriage also. How is marriage defined in India? What is legal marriage? What is lawful marriage? Is between a man and a woman. We see it everywhere in toilets, men, women. We see it in public transport, men, women. We have our laws. We see this everywhere, right? Now, let me take you. Some participants have raised their hand. So, Manjushri, what do we do? Do I take questions? Can I just finish this or do I take questions now?
No, please go ahead and finish it. We have time.
Yeah, because
we have lots of time, Leena. We have time up to 11:30. So you go ahead. It's going very well, and I think this is something that we all need insights about.
All right. Okay.
Please,
Thanks.
please go ahead.
Okay. So let me problematize this understanding a bit, right? So till now, I said our understanding is very binary in terms of men and women. We don't see anything beyond that, right? Of late, we have begun to talk about the third gender. We talk about, the third sex and so on and so forth. But our understanding in this area is still very fuzzy, not something, and we are still trying to grapple with it, right? Now, let me tell you what is wrong. I'm not trying to say what is wrong with this, but what I'm trying to say is probably we need to move beyond this. And why we need to move beyond this? Let me give you a few examples. So, what problematized this distinction of men and women is the presence of individuals with intersex variations, right? Now, what is this intersex variations? We have a theorist, a scholar by the name Anne Fosterling, and she says 1 in every 1,000 children, okay, is born with what she calls ambiguous genitalia, where the sexual organs of a newborn, of an infant or a newborn baby is not clearly formed. Okay, you might have a combination of both genitalia, penis and vagina. You have one which is more visible and one which is suppressed. You can have anything, but not very clearly noticeable penis or vagina. Now, she says in the case of these babies, what is to be done? The labeling has to be done, right? We live in a society which wants to know whether it's a boy or a girl. As I said, our birth certificates do not recognize, do not have any column for a third gender. It's only male and female. So a labeling has to be done. And then that process of labeling happens between the doctors, the parents, primarily between the doctor and the parents and the counselors, right? Very often, and in fact, we have discussed this with pediatricians and with gynecologists, and in fact, in that session, Dr. Kavita Arora was also present, and this discussion happened where doctors said when they notice something like this, they are under a lot of pressure from parents. So supposing the parents have already had two children and both of them have been girls, they desperately want the third one to be a boy. And when something like this happens, there is a pressure to name the person, to label the infant as a boy, right? And in some cases, the doctors prevail upon the parents and they say, don't worry, the surgery has to be, these kind of gender affirming surgery. We call it gender affirming surgeries, but doctors will say corrective surgeries have to be carried out, right? Now, when we do all of this process, which is quite muddled, which is quite anxiety prone, okay? And these are things which happen. We don't realize it, okay? So, I run a course in college. I run a gender certificate course in college. And tomorrow we have invited someone called Daniel Mendonca. Daniel Mendonca is a person with intersex variations, right? And Daniel is going to speak to us about it. If you are interested, you can do a Google search and his videos are available on YouTube and probably you can take a look at it. Daniel speaks so well, so passionately about these issues. And what happens with people who are born with these intersex variations, right? So when we had these kind of children who were being born then we realized that the neat categorization that we did between men and women was something that was not working, or we need to think about. Because did we ever think about this another category of children who are being born with intersex variations, in whose case the genitalia was not clearly visible to label them as either a boy or a girl? What do we do in the case of these children? All right. So the question that came up was, who decides? Now, should parents decide? Should doctors decide? What happens when these children grow up? Should they decide? Should we not give them an agency? Okay, but we had no clear answers for this. We definitely don't have answers for this, right? When you, at the time of admission to a school, the schools will need a birth certificate. Can I write in the birth certificate ambiguous genitalia? I can't. So even when I want to give an agency to the child to decide for themselves, what do they feel like? Right? And I'm saying this because I don't know, but I think some of you may be aware of this Supreme Court judgment on the Nalsar case. The Supreme Court in a judgment 3 years back had said that a person has a right to decide their gender identity, right? It cannot be imposed by society. The person has every right to decide what to call themselves, and I'm purposely using the plural term themselves, right? I'm not saying he or she, because I don't know what they want to call themselves as. So will we give them a chance to decide for them what they feel like later when they grow up, and then decide? Because if we go back to what Dr. Kavita Arora was saying, remember she said between the ages of 0 and 6, that is when the brain is developing at its maximum, right? It's developing well and developing very well. So, and this is what people are telling us, doctors are telling us, scientists are telling us, scholars and activists are telling us who have worked in this area, that probably this is the age when also your gender identity is taking shape. Okay, so should we decide? Should we leave it to children to decide then? Can we do that? Is a question that we really need to ask, and we have no clear answers for, right? So there are many grays between XX and XY, right? There are some women who are born with what is known as Turner syndrome, okay? They have XO, where O indicates absence of a chromosome. Right? So if this is getting a bit too heavy for you, let me take you to these, perhaps these examples. We do that. Let me just tell you one simple thing, right? That it may not be possible to have this very neat categorizations of male and female, right? There can be different permutations and combinations, right? And I'm trying to bring in this idea of gender fluidity. I think it's something which Dr. Kavita also spoke about yesterday, gender fluidity or a gender spectrum probably. What are these different combinations and permutations? Okay, now, all right. So there can be these different combinations. So I can be labeled as a man, as a boy, grow up to be a man, grow up to be masculine, and be heteronormative, right? Be attracted to the opposite gender, get married to the opposite gender or sex, and settle down. I can be a man, I can be masculine, and I can be gay, right? So I'm completely masculine in my conduct, in my everyday orientations. Looking at me, you will not figure out that I'm actually not heteronormative in my relationships, right? I'm gay in the sense I'm attracted to the same gender, right? I can be man, and I can be quite effeminate in my way of doing things. So, I may not walk, talk, and act like a man. Now, what is like a man? Like a man is our own perception of what men should do. The voice that men should have, and the way they walk with long strides, and with the shoulders not drooping. Well, I may not be like that, right? But I identify myself as a man. But in my everyday orientation, I may not be like a man, and you may call me feminine, but that's okay. That's okay. Absolutely all right. Okay. And what I'm trying to say is we should not judge. So we can be men, we can be feminine, and yet be heteronormative, right? So I can be a man, I can be feminine in my everyday orientation, but I get married to someone of the opposite sex, right? It can be any one of this. Similarly, the same thing can happen with a woman. A woman, born labeled as a woman, grows up to feel, acting like a woman, but also also a little masculine. We generally reserve the term tomboy to describe a woman who is a little masculine in her orientation, right? Let me again tell you a story. One day I was traveling in the local train in Mumbai, and I do every day. Now it has stopped in the last 1 year. And in the ladies' compartment that I was traveling in, the train stopped at Dadar, and one person jumped into the compartment, right? And all the ladies said, when they looked at this person, "Ye ladies ka compartment hai." And then they looked at the person for a while, and then they said, "Sorry," right? So she was a sportswoman. She had short hair, very masculine in her orientation, quote unquote. And so everybody was, we are kind of surprised when we see people who look different. Okay, because they do not seem to fit in with our identity and our assumption of what men and women should look like. And then we are surprised. We are sometimes in for a little bit of shock. Okay, and these are the kind of things that happen. Let me tell you another story. Many of our students these days just they're trans persons. Okay, some of them also transitioning. So what does it mean to say that some of them are transitioning? There are many people today who are rejecting the label that has been assigned to them at birth, right? So if I just to kind of, for example, I was labeled a girl at birth. I grew up and I was raised to feel feminine and to act, behave, and think like a woman. But somewhere along the way, I start feeling uncomfortable in this labeling of being a woman. Right? I don't feel comfortable about it. Okay. And either I reject both the binaries of men and women, and I say, I don't want to be pushed into that slot. I just want to be a human being. Or I might say that, no, I want to be a man. I act and think like a man, and I want to become a man. Okay. So let me tell you the story of this student of ours. So we had this student, Raj Lakshmi. When she joined our college, she took admission in science. She was Raj Lakshmi. Okay. Somewhere along the way, and she said it's he now, she's Raj now. So I'm correcting myself. So somewhere along the way, Raj started feeling very uncomfortable about her body. So she used to sit in the class, and so when, people used to address her as a girl, she didn't like it. And she, in fact, she used to kind of like girls in the class. Okay. And, there was she narrates this very beautiful. She says, one boy in the class fell for her, and everybody said, "He's such a handsome boy and he's after you. You should be happy." And she said, "No, I just don't like him. I don't like all this. Okay. I have no feelings for him." Okay. So she felt very uncomfortable about her body. Then she approached her principal, Dr. Bagla, who spoke to you on the first day. And she said, "Ma'am, something is not comfortable about my body. I'm not comfortable with this female body. I want to become a man." Okay. So Dr. Bagla counseled her and said, "All right, if that is how strongly you feel, it's okay." She called her parents. Her parents were very angry and upset, and they didn't understand what was happening. Okay. But she was very firm that she wanted to become a man, right? She went for counseling and all of that. Well, she started then, she had lovely hair. She cut short her hair. She started wearing trousers and shirt. And then of course she wanted a change of name, and the name is a tedious process. You have to have an affidavit, file an affidavit. You have to advertise in the newspaper. She did all of that. And the day it happened, she was so happy. She sent me a message. She said, "Ma'am, look at this newspaper report. I am now Raj," right? And Raj also has a girlfriend, right? And, who she met in college. And she says, "Ma'am, main to bahu leke aunga ghar pe," right? And Raj is now going through a process of gender affirming surgery. Okay. She actually wants to go in for a transition, and she wants, she wants hormonal changes in her body as well. right? So that's the story of Raj. But there are many who feel uncomfortable in their body, but they don't want to go in for surgery. But they change their gender expression. They change the way they talk, the way they dress. They will use men's toilets. But of course, it's a conflict. Okay. Another story. So we had a person who came from. We saw this very interesting video of this person, a trans man traveling in a metro in Delhi. Okay. So who's a trans man? A trans man is someone who was labeled a girl at the time of birth, right? But she now wants to transition, and she has transitioned, in fact, and is now a man. She calls herself a man, right? So a trans man dresses like a boy completely, short hair, shirts, trousers, everything, gets into a male compartment in a metro train in Delhi, right? Everybody thinks she's a man. The phone rings. And when the phone rings, this person is not picking up the phone. Okay? She's not, I do not remember his name, whatever his name. Let's call him whatever, let's say Peter. Peter doesn't pick up the phone. And you know the reason why he doesn't pick up the phone? He says, everything is changing about me. I've changed my gender expression from the outside, but my voice has still not changed. So if I pick up the phone and I sound like a girl, people around me will know that I'm a girl. And that might create problems for me. There might be bullying, right? Because people are still not comfortable with this idea of trans persons and stuff like that. So why am I narrating these stories to you? I'm narrating these stories to you to help you understand that we have so many people amongst us who do not fit into our understanding of what gender identity should be like, right? Many of us might feel uncomfortable with that idea, but I think we need to provide a space for them in our campuses, in our educational campuses. If we are talking about empathy, justice, rights, compassion, I think we have to extend it to them as well. Okay, we are still trying to grapple with it. We are still trying to understand. In fact, these terms confuse us. The terms of trans person, trans man, trans woman, transitioning actually confuse us. But you know something? This is a process. Raj told me how this process actually started in school, right? And the extensive bullying that Raj was subjected to in school, which is why Raj began to perform very poorly, got very low grades, right? Because of this constant, but Raj didn't know what was happening, right? And, so our counseling mechanisms in school, do we make space for these kind of things as well, is something that we really need to ask ourselves, because these are people who are fighting, and, not just people with a different sexual orientation, but even people who reject these kind of binaries, or even a man or a woman, and we call them cis man and cis women, right? Who do not reject, I'm a cis woman. Cis woman is someone who doesn't reject the identity of being a woman at birth, right? But we are also subjected to a lot of bullying in school, right? And that is where I think a lot of sensitization is necessary at the level of the school, right? To understand, and very often we ask questions, is this biology? Is this environment? What is this? Or is this an interplay of both biology and environment? Right? We need to understand all these processes. Our children in school need to understand these processes so that they do not stereotype, right? So that they do not bully, right? So that people are not traumatized and they don't have to live with this trauma, this anxiety for years on end till they meet a counselor, till they meet someone who can really address these issues, right? Okay, I'm not looking at the time. I have a few, maybe another 5 minutes, and then we will take questions. Does that sound okay,
Yes,
Manjushri?
yes. You're the one who needs to go. We are happy to. I think you have a class, right?
No, I have that class is something which I could postpone.
Oh,
okay, but morning class is something I cannot adjust.
Okay,
it's all connected.
We have time up to 11:25, 11:30.
Yeah. Perfect. So These are familiar stories again, and I'll take you through these case studies and then end, and then probably we can have some discussion. That's what everybody would know about this. Do you know about Shanti? Shanti was one of the greatest sports persons that we have, but she was she used to sprint, okay, and but I don't know how many of you know her story, okay. She won the silver medal at the Commonwealth Games at Doha, okay, but she failed the sex test. So in the sports arena they have something called the sex test, right, where they do a sex test because you're competing in men's category and women's category. So they have to be very sure that you are a woman and you are a man, and that you are a woman or you are a man, right? So in the sports arena, this kind of sex testing never existed. It started way back, okay? That's because there were these two sisters who were competing in the women's category, and they were winning all medals and all tournaments, right? And they were running very fast. This created a kind of suspicion in the minds of the organizers of whether these two women were actually men masquerading as women. Okay, because during those days, this was way back in the 1900s, during those days, there was a fear that there were these sports persons coming from communist countries, okay, and who were deliberately doing this, okay? And that is when they started this process of sex testing, right? So I'm sure I will come to Datti Chand later. Some of you might know about Datti Chand also and what she went through. She's India's first lesbian sports person who has publicly outed herself. There might be others who don't do it, so we don't know. After winning the silver medal at the Commonwealth Games at Doha, the country was very proud of her. And, she hails from Tamil Nadu. The chief minister announced that we are going to give her a house. We are going to give her this and that. And of course, she was elated the day after. No, she had actually undergone a sex test before she won, but the results came later. So she flew back to India. She was not aware of the results. And when she arrived at the airport, she was surprised to not see anybody to receive her. And she was wondering that I won a silver medal and here there is no one. She didn't quite seem to understand. Anyway, she went back home. And later in the evening, when she switched on the television, she hears this news that Shanti has been stripped of her medal and all her professional privileges because she has failed the sex test. They discovered that she did not have a hormone which would qualify her as a man, as a woman. Right? So they found a hormone which was a male hormone in her body. And so she was stripped of all medal and all privileges. She went into depression, complete depression. Okay. And Shanti, she started, in fact, she started working then as a construction worker because she had nowhere to go. She hailed from a very poor family. Having been stripped of all this, she didn't know what to do. She went back to working as a construction worker. Today, she has completely transformed herself and she calls herself a man. But her story is very different. She external genitals were those of a woman. She grew up to be a woman, but she never menstruated. But when she did not menstruate, people really didn't think much about her. And she used to run very fast. So her coach was very happy with her. And everybody thought, and she herself felt like a woman. She loved dressing up, she says. And she grew up to be a woman. But she never realized until the sex test was performed that there were these hormonal problems and there were these chromosomal issues with her body, right? So then we need to think about this. Another woman, Martinez Patino, is a very famous Spanish, again, a sprinter. She had a certificate of femininity, but she failed to carry it to the competition in Japan. She failed, and when she failed to carry that certificate, she had to undergo a sex test again. Otherwise, she could not compete. And when she did that, she failed the chromosome sex test. Now, the test showed that she had a Y chromosome, had testes that were hidden and did not have ovaries or uterus. Imagine. Right? So you see, what I'm trying to say is we need to value the idea of diverse bodies. It's all right. We can have diverse bodies. We can't have one fixed kind of bodies. And when we come to discover all this later on in life, imagine the kind of trauma you go through. Imagine the societal reaction. Imagine the kind of the kind of apprehensions, the kind of anxiety that you have to live with throughout your life. Okay, she was barred from future competitions. She had something called androgen insensitivity syndrome. Okay, where the body, she had a male hormone, but she lacked the receptors which could read the male hormone. So she never ever came. Even the first sex test that she had done, which actually showed she was a woman, had failed to detect that this chromosome was present in her body, right? And then, of course, but she was not the one who gave up, or her country took up the fight for her. And she came back to she was back in this field. But in the case of Santi, unfortunately, it was a very sad story. But there was a lot of criticism of the sex testing. And so the sporting bodies then decided to discontinue sex testing in 1999. So we no longer have this, okay? And of course, Pinky Parmanik, she was again, Pinky Parmanik was again a very renowned sportsperson. She won several medals. But, then there was, to cut the story short again, her partner said that she's not a woman, but a man. And she was subjected to a humiliating body test. She attempted suicide twice, but she was safe. She was jailed. And now, of course, she was from Kolkata. And the case is still going on in the case of Pinky Parmanik. Datti Chand, again, a familiar story. Everybody would know Datti. She was in the news recently because she said that she has a female. She openly outed herself as a lesbian, and she said that in the case of Datti also a similar thing. She was almost she was to take a flight to one of the tournaments. This was about 6 years ago. She was stopped from boarding because there were some anomalies in her sex test. But Datti contested that in a court of law. And she said that, please, how do you want to define us? How do you want to label us? Are our bodies more important than what we feel? Right? Are our bodies more important than the kind of labeling which has happened at birth, and we have grown up thinking, acting, feeling like that label? Why are we having to pay a price now, years later in life? So, the thing came because Datti had masculine body, okay? And she used to run very fast. So when women run very fast, very often it becomes a source of, a kind of suspicion. Do they have those male hormones which actually kind of spur them on? What is it? We don't have easy answers on this. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, can we for a moment leave aside the question of the body and look at what people are saying about themselves? Hear them out, listen to them, rather than passing judgments on people, right? And then, so finally, to conclude, okay, we need to move beyond this two-gender theory that have defined our understanding of every subject, okay? What about those who do not identify either as male or female, or those who reject the label given to them at birth? They are called the non-binary persons. What do we say about them? So I think we need to speak to many more subjects than just men and women, right? And I think if we are talking about a world, we are talking about seeing a transformed world, a world where we accord dignity to persons for who they are and what they are. Then I think these are questions that we need to engage with, we need to think about, we need to reflect, we need to introspect. No easy answers, but the least that we can do is to listen to them, be compassionate, and not slot them into categories. Thank you so much. And yes, so many, I think people have been raising hands, and I'm so sorry about it. We have about, I think, 6-7 minutes. So I'll be happy to take some questions. We have someone who's moderating, no?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm there, ma'am. Thank you for making us aware with concepts and terminologies like gender affirming surgeries, binary gender, trans person, trans men. And we also are very happy that we could understand that these people also have feelings, these people also need acceptance, these people also would like to be a part of the mainstream that we call. Thank you for telling us that labels are not important, but what one feels and what one goes through in life, the emotions, what we are all here to understand, emotions are more important than the gender. Thank you for making us aware with the terminologies like intersex variations, gender expressions, and we also need to take away with this session that we need to value diverse bodies in our life. We need to understand that once an individual is born with certain gender, it's not necessary that he or she may feel what we have, that stereotype understanding of that particular gender. Ma'am, I would like to congratulate you for the work that you've been doing in your college regarding the counseling that you do with your students and help the students to understand and make place for them in the society. I congratulate Dr. Hemlata Bagla also for helping you, supporting you for this particular endeavor. And now we open the session. Ma'am has given us few questions to reflect on as to the why should we all give importance to the third gender, and it's very important that we accept, adapt, adopt these kind of new ways of understanding gender. We need to understand that gender is just not a biological concept, but also we need to understand the emotional aspect of it. I open the session for question and answer. I request the participants to please post their questions if they have anything. And also thank you for sharing the case studies with us, ma'am, that we were unaware. We all, I would also like to say that there is so much of talent. If we try to value these talents, we need to give away the notion of gender. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you,
Gender
Lubna.
sensitivity as a concept.
Thank you. We had some raised hands and I felt bad I could not sort of answer. Please ask. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, I wanted to ask, do you think that we should, I mean, when there are forms at the school level itself, we should stop putting gender rather than we should go for pronouns directly? That will normalize this thing more, I think.
Absolutely. And in fact, Mumbai University has now started this. We have a column as a column on third gender. This happened only a year ago. So yeah, I have been attending these sessions where we have been debating and deliberating about what is to be done. I think this is a long road ahead. But if we can even think about it and discuss it and think of how to change things, I think it's a process that has well begun. Okay, sure. In fact, what you are suggesting is a very good suggestion. Absolutely. In fact, people are saying that do not have that column, the gender thing, till they're about 5 or 6 year old. Then let ask them what they want. We don't know whether it's going to.
So gender should not be there, just pronoun as such, whatever is assigned at birth is visible. But then if the pronouns are written, the person can address the person according to that.
So just in continuation with Sheetal's question, Lina, I was wondering when she says that we don't have it, kids are being admitted to schools as early as 2 and 3. 3. So let's say 3. I'm still confused. How do we know, or how can we ask that person at that age?
We can't at that age.
Right? So then what is the right way to go about it?
So I think not at that age. So let's say at that age, we just look at kids as kids and we don't try to force this kind of identities of being a boy or a girl. And when they grow up, and let's see how they are being more, sort of how they are being, how their thinking is evolving and what do they have to say about this, what do they feel about it. I mean, let us also understand that there are several influences on them. We might want to do one thing, but then there are parents at home, then there are other kind of influences that come in, peer group pressure. So it's not easy, but these things, what I'm trying to say is these things are now being discussed and debated. I mean, at the level of the school, probably you will need some kind of workshops, and you will have to bring in experts. You will have to bring in counselors. You have to brainstorm about how to go about it.
Go about it. Yeah. So, I was in fact.
Now my question is, in addition to what Manju madam is asking, it's Mandeep here. Now we are training the teachers. Now it's fine. It's very good that you are saying that we have two genders column over there, but how do we train to the teachers what they should be addressing to those children who have third gender? Now, teachers are trained to be addressing to the small children, boys and girls. Adults are trained to be addressing men and women. This is how we call them in the class. But now when we have a third gender in the class, child is getting sensitized by the doctors, by the parents, by the siblings. Fine, you have a third gender, but how do teachers address to that particular child in the classroom?
Okay, I will tell you what we have done at KC. So there was a time when we would just say the protagonist, when we would teach, the protagonist would always be he, right? We would always say, so the subject is always he or man. From he, man, we move to he, stroke, she, man or woman. So one day in the class, one student came to me and said, "Man, I thought I was doing a big thing by talking about, constantly referring to both men and women and she and he." And the person said, "But ma'am, I don't feel, so where do I belong? Because I identify with neither he nor she. So am I there in your classroom? Am I included in your class?" And I'm like, oh my God. And that was a big learning for me. That means the classroom was not and here I went about talking about inclusive classroom spaces. And here a student comes and tells me, "But ma'am, your classroom is not inclusive because I feel excluded. You are always talking about he and she." So Dr. Mandeep, we have now moved to doing this. So earlier when we would have programs, we would say, ladies and gentlemen. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen. We just say, we just say participants and valued participants or whatever. So why should we say boys and girls? Let us just address students as students. Whenever I'm chatting with my students in my group, I always say student. I never ever, boys and girls don't come in the picture because I really don't know how many of them identify as boys, how many of them identify as girls, how many do not identify. And without asking them, in fact, I do a lot of research, right? In the research column, where you have this gender column, we never put these categories. We leave it open. It's for the people to identify their gender. Let them write. We can't. And these categories, the more and more categories seem to be coming up now. And pronouns, I have now moved on. So they is something that is now used instead of he or she. Even they is used as singular. It is also used as plural. There is another pronoun, Z, Z-E. Z is also used to refer to. It is not either a male or a female pronoun. It is for everybody. So you can also address them as Z. But we don't teach our children these things, these small little things. But we can begin to actually teach them about going beyond the binaries.
I just want to add one thing over here in terms of, just give me a second, in terms of the takeaway for all of us as preschool teachers. Oftentimes we see during play, children come up and say, "Nahi, main ladki nahi hu, main ladka hu." And we try to push upon them that, "Nahi beta, tu ladki hai." This is the biggest takeaway from me from today's session. We as preschool educators should be mindful of the fact that if a child wants to believe during playtime or at any time that he or she or they want to go to a male toilet, I think we need to be respectful of that. We don't know, it could be just a hunch, but we need to be respectful of it.
Also in fancy dress competitions, we often discourage, "Arey, tumko ye kyun banna hai?" One of them said, "Mujhe wo banna tha, but teacher ne mana kar diya."
So there's a little joke, na? Are you little girls or are you little boys? So they're going to the loo, so the teacher doesn't know where to take them. So they all look at her and say, they're all nursery children. They say, we are little bunnies. Because
you know, and yeah, you know, Manjushri, there is some, I'll share with you the names of some resource persons who have written wonderful book for children. What children, and these are people who are working in this area. Okay, we have Shalini who's there, and I will share her number. Shalini writes books for children, and Shalini is herself, she identifies as queer, as non-binary, she's queer, and she writes books for children. What children should be learning at that age so that they have a proper understanding of gender identities. So, you know, you could actually think of calling Shalini at some other workshop or something. She can actually speak to, she is much better than probably what I would be doing here.
You're wonderful, but this has been quite an eye-opener. Huge eye-opener. Amazing. Yeah, some more questions, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lubna.
Yes, Shambhavi, you have some question? You had raised
Yes.
your hand.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Actually, I just wanted to from our school days, why don't we teach to students the first constitution, the very first statement, we the people of India, like that, because it's doesn't mention he or she, it's the we. Why don't we start with it, ma'am? Just thought of to ask you since
it's a wonderful, what's your name?
Shambhavi.
Shambhavi. Oh, that's a wonderful way. Absolutely. Make the constitution the basis of your teaching in class. I always say this, constitutional morality. You begin with the idea of justice, begin with the idea of distributive justice, people, human beings. I think we need to center these ideas more than the idea of those fixed gender identities. I mean, we need to loosen them a bit.
Can I share one of the small experience in one line?
Yes.
Like when I was a teacher, I was over there and I was teaching the civics. The very first lecture I started that the constitution itself begins with the we, the people of India. So the subject start itself with the we. So don't even I started with the very first and clear concept. तो वहाँ पर मेरा start होता था in early days when I was a
very
teacher.
nice, very nice, very nice, Shambhavi.
Ma'am, there's someone who has written that we need to change from chairman to chairperson, cameraman to camera person.
Absolutely.
So we need to be very, very particular, cautious of the words that we use and address people in our life.
This is so frustrating. All letters that I get when I'm the chairperson of the board of studies, invariably I'm addressed as chairman. I mean, they don't even figure out. They don't even want to know. Everybody is a chairman. They don't want to know whether they're a woman or whatever.
Ma'am, I have a question for you. Ma'am, we live in a
Actually, somebody is, Zarina has also written about uniforms.
Yes,
yes. Okay. I know. And also one more thing I wanted to sort of flag off. You see, boys also grow up with a lot of, this idea of impunity, privilege. I will do this and get away with it. And, they have a tendency to devalue and kind of put down and belittle what girls in the class are saying. I think we have to be very mindful of that as well. Constantly pushing them, you are a girl, what are you saying? That kind of thing also is very important. Yes, about uniforms, I agree.
Ma'am, I have a question. We live in a patriarchy society and we have certain ways of thinking that we've been asked since the beginning. Our childhood goes in that manner. So it's so difficult to change that system, the thought process of elders and other people who are living. Ma'am, what do you have to say about that? Like the patriarchy society that we live in.
Yeah. So, I respond by saying each to their own, because we cannot have a one shoe size fits all kind of standard. See, we are all placed in different contexts. We are all placed in different situations. For a long time, I used to be quite prescriptive and say that we need to fight, we need to do that. And then I realized it was not easy. I mean, I could fight patriarchy probably because I have so many privileges that I've grown up with in a liberal environment where I was told it's okay to disagree, you can argue. But that cannot be the same for a student of mine whose parents tell her, you have to cook in the morning and go to college, otherwise we'll stop your college. So when she comes late to my class every day, and I tell her, no, I will not allow you, then I think, but for her, if the option is between cooking so that she can continue her education, or stopping education completely. Right? So every space, I think we have to negotiate. We have to navigate. It's a complex terrain. We just have to navigate and negotiate. Look at your situation, look at your environment, look at your context, look at your constraints, and then figure out for yourself how much you can resist, how much you can transcend, and how much you can't. So you will have to then navigate that area.
Okay. We have one more question from Kia Basu.
Yeah.
Kia.
Good morning, ma'am. I just wanted to know, since I'm a teacher, I just wanted to know that in school we see children are segregated. Boys would be sitting in one side and girls would be sitting on the other side. What is your opinion about it? Is it good or
not at all? Not at all. I have heard.
Till the higher class.
I'm so happy you brought this up. In fact, I wanted to share this, but probably I forgot with my mind. My students tell me the stories of how they have been segregated. And apparently there is a lot of discrimination in the arena of sports. Girls have said even when they want to play basketball and football, the teacher says, no, you don't need to, just sit down, let boys all play. So they say we would look forward to a sports class, to our, what is that called, PE class. But invariably, it would become a leisure time activity for us because we would be sitting there and doing nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that, and my students have told me there used to be different staircases in some school, I don't remember. So boys would go in one staircase and girls would go in. I think this kind of segregation doesn't really do good. It is just entrenching these kind of gender identities to a level where it becomes very difficult then to disrupt them. Becomes very difficult then to loosen them a bit. And I always, why can't we have healthy relationships between boys and girls in school and between all the students? Okay. And the segregation, in fact, when we segregate, we are actually lending more credibility to this idea of fixed gender identities and somehow saying that girls need to keep themselves safe from boys, and also trying to say that boys can be predators or girls can incite, I don't know what, but we are actually giving a lot, a lot of space is open for these kind of ideas, and we mustn't do that.
Ma'am, many parents, they object when the children are in higher class. They say, the girls they should not be sitting. So we should have some answers to them.
You need to have more workshops in school. Get your parents to attend these workshops. When we do these certificate courses, what my students tell me, ma'am, please do one for the parents. Our parents need it more than us. And I can't agree more with them. I really, really agree. And I think, I don't know whether I can do it at the college level, but at the school, I think this needs to be done. We need to, parents are a very important constituency, but somehow we don't seem to, the only time we bring them on is parent-teacher meeting, and it's all about academics and all. So, like this workshop is about social and emotional learning. And what I'm talking about is an important component of the social and emotional learning. So can we move beyond, grades are fine, physical exercise is fine, but can we move beyond that and start addressing these issues? Take parents on board. Life will become much better for our children, for our students, because they might be exposed to wonderful ideas in school, but when they go back home, they live with this patriarchy that Lubna was talking about. And then it gets very difficult for them, and they say families are not safe spaces for us at all. And why can't we bring about a change there is what I'm actually asking you to do. You can do it actually.
Ma'am, add to this, ma'am, there's Dr. Sheetal Parekh, who has written that it's time to move towards gender neutral parenting and give away stereotypical gender roles. It is important to respect what child feels like.
Yes, very true, Sheetal. Couldn't agree more.
We have Arun, I think Arun Mehta, who's there online. Okay. I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm Sunita Mehta. That's on my...
Yes.
Yeah.
Lubna, so just to ask you, it's already 11:39. I hope your next
this would be the last question. Okay. This would be the last question.
No, I don't have a problem. It's just that the sessions.
Lena, I'm the next speaker. Don't worry, I'm enjoying this. Just let it go on. It's really good.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we always condemn women drivers. When we see a lady driver, we condemn her like anything.
Absolutely.
I've seen that happening. But nowadays, ma'am, I feel the society has changed. when I see my son talking to a girl, let it be XYZ, maybe a colleague, or I feel happy. You know, but our parents used to tell us, oh, we should not talk to boys. We should, you know, there is some, this thing, we should not get too close and all those things. But I say, yes, if it's your friend, you must talk to them. You know, they get incoming calls, they talk, they laugh. Oh, she's mommy, my college friend. She's my this friend. We did studies together. So I really enjoy all that, actually.
Absolutely. And this generation, my daughter is a real rebel. I tell you, this generation will not even accept that kind of parenting. They will just reject it and say, we don't care, or do what you want to do.
Yes.
So I think we need to change. Yes, we need to change with the times.
Yes, they go out, they enjoy.
Yes, absolutely. Why not? Why not?
Leena ma'am.
Yes.
I just have a question. I have a son, you know, he happened to just overhear what we are saying. And he asked this question, how do you address, what do you say to human? Will you say you person? And to mankind, how it?
Man.
Human.
Yes.
Human. So are you going to say you person? And what about mankind? How are you going to?
No, we don't say, I though have left it, like it's no longer in my dictionary, mankind. It's humankind. Long back, we left all that. It's humankind, okay? Talk about human beings, talk about persons, talk about, these are the gender neutral terms that we can use, no? Everywhere you will find a gender neutral term. I had a list, actually. I should have put that up. You want me to put that up? I have an entire list of where we can change terms and terminologies.
Yes, please.
So if you just give me 2 minutes, I will, it's right. And in the meanwhile, you can ask, I can keep answering while I figure this out, while I retrieve this from my records.
There's a participant who said, DeCosta, who has said that only when we let us girls and boys interact with opposite sex, they need to know how to behave appropriately.
Okay. Yes. True. Absolutely. Without doubt. Absolutely.
One more. There is a participant who has shared her reflection. Sheetal Parekh. Education system is the platform to normalize this concept, and parents have to follow as they have to educate their kids.
Can you come again? I just lost that in between.
Education system is the platform to normalize this concept of gender binary, and parents have to follow as they have to educate their kids.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. In fact, education is a space. I mean, the other day when you were listening to Sharanya and Raja, one thing that I completely disagreed with in case of Raja was when he said school is not required. I said, no, that is a very kind of, that means you are homogenizing the idea of children. I mean, you are not valuing the idea of diversity, because it might work for a certain kind of audience. It may not work for others. So I think education becomes a very important means of engaging with these topics. And I think we as educators have a really important role to play. But yes, I completely agreed with Sharanya and Raja when they spoke about prejudices. So, you know, Adivasi children really face that. I have seen in my own class, I mean, supposing you ask a student, so what do you know about Adivasis and tribes? The first thing they will say, oh, they're backward people. I mean, how do you know they are backward? Of course, ma'am, because we learned it in school, they will say. We learned it, our books also spoke about it. Right? So as educators, we play a wonderful role, but if we carry within ourselves these prejudices, I think it becomes very difficult, and completely agree with you. Yes, Gargi has a very interesting question. And while speaking about Raj, why did you use she, her pronouns for him even after speaking of his transition? Absolutely. So I corrected myself immediately, no? And the reason I used the pronouns was because I was trying to tell you when she joined Casey, she was Raj Lakshmi, which is why I said she. But when the transition came about, and yes, there are these slips which happen. This flip-flop does happen. Which is why I say I continuously introspect, reflect, and keep reminding myself that, am I using the right pronoun? Have I gone wrong there? It happens. It happens. And they are people who you are addressing, they also understand. They're very sweet. And they say, it's
Yes.
all right. It's all right. It's okay. I mean, I'm not going to judge people for that, right? And say, oh my God, you did this. You don't know anything. That also is not okay, right? We are all learning.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. We end the session today. This is the first technical session. Thank you for letting us know that we need to be, we need not be judgmental about anyone with respect to their height, their skin, their body type, anything related to human beings. We just need to see them as simple human beings, and we need to respect, adapt, adopt, and accept them the way they are. Thank you so much, Dr. Leena ma'am, for being with us on the first technical session for today and accepting our invitation at the end moment and helping us accommodate the session in such a successful manner. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you so
It
much.
was wonderful having you with us. It seemed that I was again in a sociology class where I would attend my TYBA classes with my sociology teachers and learning about all these concepts.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have refreshed our memories again and making us feel that as teachers, we have important role to play with regard to gender stereotyping, gender expressions, and we need to be very, very careful while dealing with our students. Thank you once again. Thank you to all the team members who's been a part of this first technical session. My very own students, Zubia and Salome, who's been behind the curtains helping me out day in and day out for all the sessions. Thank you, Manjushri ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Neelu Verma, Dr. Balani, and Dr. Mandeep Kocher for being a support for conducting this particular webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I hand over the session to Dr. Mohammad Azam Ansari, the second technical session, and the resource person, Miss Manjushri Patil, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and I'm leaving. Yeah. Bye, bye, bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the participants as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Lubna Mansoori. Ma'am, Manjushri ma'am, with your permission, shall we begin the session? Or we should have wait for a minute or 2 minutes?
Yes, I think I would like to give a bio break and a relax break. So what we do when we are conducting this online course on inclusive education every Saturday. It's been happening since September. So what we do is when we take our bio break, I put a song. So I'm going to put a song now, a video of a song, and you guys, there's no picture. Don't worry, it's just words. Go, just take a walk, have a glass of water, grab a cup of tea, walk for sure because your back needs that rest, and you feel a little refreshed. And come back. I think we need a little break. Today's morning session was a lot to take, isn't it? It's new. It's uncharted territory. So let's just shake it off and come back. I mean, shake it off not as in that way. Shake it off as in come back with a fresher feel. Okay. So guys, go. I'm going to put some song here, which I have kept ready for all of you to listen to, and you can listen to this song as you are moving out of your seats. आप जहां कहीं भी हो, आपको ये गाना सुनाई देगा. Google Chrome is here. I will also just grab a glass of water.
Feelings, they're a part of me. Feelings, hey, I just want to be me. Oh, I feel happy when you smile at me. I feel happy, oh so happy when you smile at me. Feelings, they're a part of me. Feelings, hey, I just want to be me. Oh, I feel safe when you hold my hand. I feel safe, oh so safe when you hold my hand. to be me. Monster Math presents
Such a lovely song, madam. I'm
Yes.
sure the audience have enjoyed it.
Yes, yes. I'm sure.
They are all happy to have a break of 2 minutes.
Yes. Lovely, lovely.
So,
Is everyone
with
back?
your permission, ma'am.
Would you like a longer break? Everybody's back, or are we good to go?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Ciao.
Shall we begin, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Lubna Mansoori. Good morning to all. On behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, I, Dr. Ansari, faculty member, would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone once again for today's technical session number 2. It's my great pleasure to welcome our very own resource person, Miss Manjushri Patil. Samantha Education India, in association with KC College and BTT College, constituent colleges of HSNC University, Mumbai, and Atman Academy, presenting Reimagining Early Years Education, a comprehensive 6-day online workshop series on social and emotional learning in early years education for positive life outcome. Since 4 days, we are listening about on the topic like repurposing early years education, understanding the self, understanding emotional intelligence. And just now we have a wonderful session with Dr. Leena Pujari on the rethinking sex, gender, and gender equality. During this pandemic period, everyone out here has gone through a lot of change, and we all have accepted it and moving on in our life. According to Socrates, the secret of change is to focus all of our energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So for today's session, we have with us our very own Miss Manjushri Patil, who will speak on the topic, the Samantha program. Ma'am, as I got instruction that we will be having a very brief introduction of yours. So because yesterday I got this instruction, so we are following it. And before we will begin our formal session, I will request the student teacher, Miss Anju Konai, to introduce Miss Manjushri Patil. Over to Miss Anju Konai.
Thank you, sir. Namaste and good morning to everyone. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. We are honored to have such an individual, Miss Manjushri Patil ma'am, as our guest speaker for this session. Ma'am, there is a lot to say about you, and it is my honor and privilege to introduce you. We know ma'am as the founder director of Atman Academy, a specialized instruction inclusive school for children with diverse learning needs that has been ranked among the top 10 schools in the same category for 4 consecutive years. She is a 2-time TEDx speaker, TEDx performer, and a recipient of the Americans with Disabilities Act Anniversary Fellowship on Inclusive Education by the U.S. State Department of Education at the University of Minnesota. She is also an Acumen India Fellow, a mentee of the Sherry Blair Foundation for Women, Mentoring Women in Business Program UK, and the Legatum Summer School, Tuscany, Italy. With over 3 decades of experience in the field, ma'am has been an advisor, consultant, and a chief trainer for a year-long statewide program on inclusive education with the government of Maharashtra, impacting more than 5 lakh teachers from 36 districts of Maharashtra. Ma'am is also the country director of Samantha India, the first global education initiative on emotional learning that has been endorsed by the UN Human Rights Office. She has been qualified special educator who has completed her diploma in education and her bachelor's in education degree in special education from SNDT University after graduating in English literature and linguistics. She has also completed her master's in education with a dissertation on teacher education. She is recipient of numerous awards. She was one among only 7 women achievers who were awarded the Lokmat Sakhi Samman Puraskar at the state level. Lastly, I would like to tell everyone that ma'am is an Indian classical vocalist. Ma'am has been learning, practicing, and performing Hindustani vocal music since the age of 3. Uh, she completed her Sangeet Visarat from Akhil Bharatiya Gandharva Mahavidyalaya, having stood first in Pune for the same exam. She has been blessed with stalwart gurus such as Padma Bhushan Shobha Gurtu, Padma Shri Veena Sahasrabudhe, and her mother, Dr. Shobha Gurjar, who was the Dean of the Music Department at the SNDT Pune. Ma'am, we welcome you to the PTTC virtual platform and we wish to learn more about the Samantha program. So I formally hand over the session to Miss Manjushri Patil ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anju. What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you for making it brief. So I was just telling Neelu yesterday, I think your work has to be your biggest introduction. Nothing else really matters. And just keep going on and on. All right, friends, fellow Indians, and I will not say ladies and gentlemen. Now I will be very careful. I mean, I never ever said it. I used to always say hello everyone, whoever the everyone is. चलो, we have work to do. बहुत काम करना है अगले 1 घंटे के लिए. मतलब बहुत कुछ चीजें करनी है. Are your papers, crayons, sketch pens पे everything ready around you? Oh, Sangeeta's just remembered. Oh, go and get it. Go and grab it. Come on, I'll give you time. Go grab at least 3-4 sketch pens and some crayons and whatever. I'll give you time. Yes, Jaya is showing me she's got it all ready. Jaya, you have a lovely elephant behind you. It's so beautiful. All right. Reshma, I see you sitting in front of a lovely brick red wall. Looking so beautiful in that contrast.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to do something fun first, just to see whether you guys are around and awake, which I know you are. But I'm going to show you a number. Okay, this is not a stupid game I thought of just now in the morning. I say kuch suja mujhe. I'm going to show you a number with my fingers. All right. You have to just call out that number in the way that I ask you to. So I show, for example, if I show you this, all right, you have to say, you have to remove the sound, this thing, unmute yourself quickly, and fast. You have to say this number. I might tell you English, I might tell you Hindi, I might tell you Marathi, and I might also add probably a tonality that I want you to use for it. Okay? So, for example, let's do a simple one. English.
One.
All right. Hindi.
Two.
Marathi.
Teen.
Very good. Marathi.
Teen.
Okay, see, I was making a good mistake. This was a good mistake that I learned. Can you believe it? So late in my life, I've been a preschool teacher and everything. But I learned this mistake when I went to the US during my fellowship. See, I made the mistake even just now because I didn't realize I'm looking at the camera. So, our mentor, Renata, she taught us. She said, even when you're working with children with special needs or you're working with little ones, when you show numbers, make sure you used to always say, I'm going to give you 3 days to do the assignment. And we used to wonder, ऐसे क्यों दिखा रही है? But now we realize why she said that. She said when you show it like this, children can't really understand because they can still see these 2 fingers. Right? So it made so much sense, and I learned this just 3 years ago. I mean, I keep talking about being in the field for 30 years. I don't think I'm there for 30 years. I'm just there for 1 year. Every year is the first year that I'm in this field. So 3. Okay? So henceforth, I will rectify my mistake. Are you ready? Now, I'm going to give you different parameters also. Okay? Not just English, Hindi, Marathi. Let's do 1 or 2 more of English, Hindi, Marathi. Ready? 1, 2... English. Four. Now, laugh and say this number.
5.
Come on, everybody. That's good. Now you're going to say, I have to look at my own fingers to be actually sure what I'm showing you. Cry and say say this? यार एक देखने दो. क्या है ये number?
9.
Now I want you to shout and say this number in English.
8.
Very good. All right. Now I want you to whisper this number and say it in English.
7.
Good. You're a very good, yeah. Okay. And the last one. I want you to keep laughing and say this number.
10.
I don't know, something thought that came in my missing. I said, let's try it out. So one has to keep getting creative with this medium, na? Okay, but now I have a fun activity, which is a song, which I'm going to put in the video, and all of you have to switch on your videos and do exactly what the song says. You'll come to know once the song starts, you'll get the instructions. Okay, so here goes. I'm going to share my screen, and this is the emotion song. Ready? I am going to first check on the I have to see the participants' faces also ना. पता तो चलना चाहिए कि कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे हो. चलो भाई, उठ जाओ, उठना है. उठेंगे नहीं तो करेंगे कैसे? Alrighty, चलिएगा. Okay, ready? And what they tell you to do is what you have to do, huh?
All right, everybody, let's do the emotions. Hokey pokey. You put your happy face in, you take your happy face out. You put your happy face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around.
Got it?
You put your sad face in, you take your sad face out. You put your sad face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around. You put your angry face in, you take your angry face out. You put your angry face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around. Put your scared face in, you take your scared face out. You put your scared face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around. You put your surprised face in, you take your surprised face out. You put your surprised face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around. You put your silly face in, you take your silly face out. You put your silly face in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. Everybody, turn around. Everybody, turn around.
Wow! Good. Lovely. That was good. Really good. Turned out quite exciting to do online, huh? In fact, it is a great song for online because you can go to the camera and go away from the camera. Put your face in and put your face out.
Kids will be enjoying.
So,
I don't know about kids, but I enjoyed a lot.
Even I enjoyed
Me too.
I just visualized it when I saw it when I was doing some researching around the net, and I said, "Kya available hai?" Because करने के लिए तो बहुत कुछ है, but ऐसे चलो, every time I do a session I like to look for something new because that just enriches me and it just increases my booty of stuff. I have lots of things in that. All right, so wonderful, good morning, and do the hokey pokey, keep your faces hokey pokey going around. Today's session that I'm going to be doing with you is going to be about a Samantha classroom, right? So I'm going to give you a little insight into how a classroom looks, how a lesson plan looks. We'll actually be doing this. So today, this point forward, you're going to be my bachas. All right? Will you be my bachas? My senior KG,
Yes, ma'am.
junior KG bachas, okay?
Definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, you'll have to know when I'm addressing the bachas in you and when I'm addressing the teachers in you, because I'll obviously be shuttling between both those. But I'm just asking you to play the role of my bachas. Alrighty, let's get started. So here's our so it's empowering change through education, which is really what we're trying to do. So Samantha as an SEL program is, so SEL is like the core of this program. That being said, there's a larger mission, and the larger mission, as you have heard from Leslie herself, is really to empower change, empower, to sow the seeds of a more sound ecosystem in every child as he grows up to become an adult, right? So today's session we have talked about the learning outcomes. So there are 25 learning outcomes on which the entire Samantha, the Think Equal program has been, that's like the base of it, or that forms the underpinnings of it. What I'm really going to do is I'm going to give you all a minute to read for yourself each of these that you see. These are 25. And then I'm going to have a little conversation with you about which of these you think would fall in buckets, because there's no one right answer. Which of these you think would fall in in buckets, and whether there are more than these. So our session says 25 learning outcomes and more. So maybe we'll flip it. Let's first look at whether you can think of any other learning outcomes that are left out and that we could look at putting over here. Not that we are saying that those are not there and so we are going to put it, but just that we need to see the connections, whether something is in our mind and whether it is here as well, whether there is a connection in that. So I give you a minute. Please just read all of these. And mind you, the color coding has got nothing to do with buckets. So there are no categories. Okay.
Since, may I?
Yes, please.
Since we are keeping goal setting also, time management should not be also the part.
Okay, so I'm going to put it there. Time management, okay? Everybody's
Ma'am, positivity, joyful.
Okay. All right, let's understand what is a learning outcome. So which then means we should just quickly introspect on, let's all come to on the same page with regards to the term learning outcome. So what is a learning outcome? Who would be able to help me with understanding what a learning outcome is?
A moral of the learning that you did at that day.
Okay, so what it is that you learned, right?
Lesson from the learning.
Lesson from the learning. Okay, you know that,
ma'am, the expected actions of a person.
I would want to subscribe to that understanding, and which also brings me to a very key issue, because what has happened is oftentimes SEL is getting mistaken as moral science class. तो आपको इन दोनों को थोड़ा सेपरेट करना है. Morality is about good and bad, right and wrong. Social emotional, remember what Viswan told us yesterday? Nothing is, no feelings are good or bad. Feelings are feelings. They are there and they exist. They come, they are part of our internal makeup. So feelings are not bad. Behaviors in the social context, again, are not good or bad. You know, as psychologists, we often say that behaviors are appropriate or inappropriate in a social context. I think we know it in so many different ways. So I jokingly tell children also, I tell them, "Acha bachcho, batao mujhe, when you have to go to the swimming pool, what will you wear? Tell me, what will you wear if you go to the swimming pool?"
Swimming costume.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody, a little kiddo is answering me. So sweet. What is there? Somebody answering that question for me? Yeah, that was right. It is. We'll be wearing a swimming costume. We'll be wearing a swimming trunk. If you are a male and you identify as a male, you want to be wearing a swimming trunk. You want to be wearing a swimming costume. Perfect, right? आप शादी में जाओगे, ब्याह में जाओगे, या तो you are going for a party, what will you wear? What are the different things that you could wear?
Fancy outfit.
Jewelry, a glary dress.
Party dress.
Traditional
Clothes.
Right, right. So wearing jewelry, wearing a Kanjivaram sari, wearing a suit, wearing a tuxedo, wearing a kurta jhabba, that's not wrong. Wearing a swimsuit, that's not wrong. Both are right अपने जगह. अब फ्रेंड्सों, इसको फ्लिप करो और सोचो कि आप शादी में स्विमसूट पहन के जाओगे और स्विमिंग पूल में कांजीवरम साड़ी पहन के कूदी मारोगे, क्या होगा? So it's not wrong to wear those clothes, but they're not appropriate, which is what we are trying to say within the gamut of thoughts that we are trying to develop under the social emotional banner. We are trying to say nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. There are emotions, all emotions are acceptable. It's about how we are able to express them that makes them appropriate or inappropriate. And social context mein, anything that we do is about appropriateness. So, I mean, there were 50 years ago, having a child out of wedlock or living in was not appropriate according to the social fabric of our country. Today, it's not a problem at all. Nobody's questioning that. Today, being gay trade has been questioned. Years ago, it was. Looking at the appropriateness of something in its context. Therefore, when I say morality का जो एक ये word typically, I'm sorry, has my network dropped?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, we can hear you.
Because I just thought my network. I thought my network. So that is why I want us to all come on the same page with the understanding that what we have put over here, moral and ethical values, we are going to expose our children to it. We are going to make it part of the learning. But let us not understand the entire social emotional learning package as morality and kya sikha beta wala morality, because that was how we were oftentimes in our school days. That was the way it was approached. Every time we heard a story, it was always about dose dena. So it's not about dose. Many a times we just do the activities in that class, and we are basically what should I say? We put seed inside. We are sowing the seed inside the child's mind, because we are building those connections, and we are making sure that those connections get done, and then over and over and over and over again, those connections are getting, you know, वो क्या कहते हैं उसको, खत पानी हम कहते हैं ना, they are getting more and more fertilized as we go along. That's the intention of this entire program. So yes, I think you said time management. We put it there, but if you can see, time management will be connected to one of these in a subtle way. So when you're talking about time management, would we say that it is connected to goal setting? Right? It would be part of goal setting, but I'm still putting it there. Any other thought that you feel from among all of these, there is something else that comes to your mind?
A balanced approach.
Balanced approach, okay.
Knowing yourself.
All right, knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Patience.
Sorry?
Patience.
Patience. You know,
come in emotional literacy.
It'll come also in self-regulation. I'll put it there. See, I'm not going to disrespect anybody's this thing. So patience. And what did somebody say? Knowing yourself. I'm going to put everybody's thoughts here because I value the fact that you have contributed. But I'm just also trying to say here that देखिए आपके सोच में जो आएगा ना वो actually कहीं ना कहीं इन 25 में already है. पर बताइए, जरूर बताइए, because it's a great idea for us to populate this and just see the connections. What I'm really trying to do is build those connections. Yes, somebody else wants to contribute?
Ma'am, growth mindset.
Power of acceptance.
Growth mindset. Okay. Where will growth mindset be connected in these 25?
Everywhere. Everywhere, I guess. It's how you deal with it. How,
Yes.
it's about your mindset.
Respect.
Yes, yes. Again, self-awareness. Do I have growth mind? Do I have a growth mindset there? Growth mindset would also be in many of these other things like self-regulation, goal setting. Yes. Somebody else said power of
Acceptance.
power of acceptance.
Respect. Capacity to accept.
Where will that come? Will that come in
Diversity.
power of acceptance?
Mindfulness.
Celebration of
maybe,
diversity.
Maybe in mindfulness.
Yes, in mindfulness also, and it will also come in relationship building skills.
Yeah.
Because power of acceptance.
Collaboration.
And yes, collaboration. Very good. Very, very good.
And diversity.
Diversity देखिए sir वहाँ पे सामने है, right at the tip of the heart. Celebration of diversity.
No, I'm saying that will come in diversity.
Already
The
there.
Power of acceptance.
Power of acceptance. Yes. Correct. Oops, I lost it. Sorry. Oops. This is technical. Buddhu. That's what we are now. I didn't know that it will go away. Sorry. All right. So, any others that you'd like to share? I'm happy to share there.
Self-love.
Anyone wants to share any other that they can?
Self-love.
Self-love. Okay. And
respect.
Yes, self-love. Sympathy. I'm just using another color.
Discipline.
Self-love. Okay. And sympathy. Okay. Sympathy, or are we really looking to develop in our children empathy? Because sympathy is generally not an actionable emotion. Sympathy often becomes like, are. You know, exactly what Rajashri said yesterday. That I was going to all these red carpets and doing all these roles and getting awards for, downtrodden women who I was portraying. I was talking about them, but what was it boiling to? It was not action. So sympathy is just about sitting over here and thinking, अरे बहुत बुरा हुआ रे, अरे आगे क्या कुछ करना है उसके बारे में. एम्पैथी में जब मैं मेरे अंदर ये इमोशन लेके आती हूँ तब मुझे फिर कुछ करने का मन करता है. Wonderful. Anything else? Any other social emotional thought that comes to your mind? Okay. So I'm going on this. Sorry?
Self-expression.
Self-expression. Okay. Self-expression. And do you think it might be connected?
Ma'am, tolerance.
Yes. So are you going to be able to tell me where self-expression is connected to this?
Emotional literacy.
And one more on the right, on the diametrically opposite side. It's right there.
Self-regulation.
Sorry?
Communication skills.
Communication skills. Self-expression is communication skills. And somebody said something that I was just about to write. What was that?
Emotional literacy.
Emotional literacy. Is it already there?
No, with sorry. Yeah.
Is it there? It's already there. Emotional literacy is already there.
Yeah.
Self देखिए self esteem कहाँ पे है?
Right.
It's on the
Ma'am,
right.
tolerance.
Exactly. Tolerance कहाँ पे आएगा? I will put tolerance. कहाँ पे आएगा? Tolerance is connected to what?
Collaboration.
Diversity.
Yes, it's connected to celebration of diversity, and it's also connected to collaboration. It's also connected to global citizen. It's also connected to perspective taking. It's also connected to inclusion.
Yes.
And honestly, given the amount of work that I'm doing in inclusion, I have started moving away from the term tolerance, because tolerance has this holier than thou attitude that I'm tolerating you. अभी ठीक है, क्या करे, tolerate करना पड़ रहा है, kind of a, tone. Acceptance is what people around,
Yes.
not tolerance. Tolerance means क्या चिक चिक पिक पिक है, पर अभी क्या करे, tolerate करना पड़ता है. Who are we tolerating? We are tolerating that loud dingada takada 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 dingada takada takada that happens during dandiya. We have to tolerate it because it is painful and they are being unmindful, and we have to tolerate it. We can't help it. That is tolerance. But if you actually move that tolerance also to acceptance and you say, it's possible, यार okay यार ठीक है, साल में एक बार आता है ये त्योहार, उनको मजा करने दो, उसमें उनको मजा आ रहा है तो क्यों नहीं? Can't I just accept it for 2 hours? ठीक है, 2 घंटे मुझे टकड़ा 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 सुनने में आएगा, पर accept ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? So shifting the paradigm from tolerance to acceptance. All right, thank you. I'd like you to keep this heart in your heart, right? And what I'm going to do is, it's 12:23. We are all wearing a beautiful yellow, and so we are going to move into a book. But before I do that, I'm going to just share with you a few slides about why does this happen? I do not know. Just give me a second. I'll just reshare my screen. I wasn't able to move to the next slide. Yeah. It's a Manta program. It's 30 weeks of term time, 3 lessons per week, approximately 30 minutes, but oftentimes it takes a little more than that because our babies are babies, they're younger kids, and they take a little longer to do some of the activities. So if you see the lesson plan, and I'm going to show you examples and samples of it today, they're very tiny little lesson plans. It's not long drawn lesson plans. 30 minutes of lesson plans, 3 of them. So all in all, our investment is 1.5 hours of teaching per week. Lessons are designed to be taught in a particular sequence. That's something that I told you even yesterday, that we are requesting for, maintaining the sanctity of the order so that children get the benefit as per the flow. Lesson plan booklets. All right, so we have lesson plan booklets with instructional guides. The entire lesson plan booklet is given. Weeks 1 to 30, they are organized by week. The entire booklet, 90 lesson plans, 3 into 30 weeks. Resource booklets, a collection of resources to be copied or redrawn or shown in a certain lesson. I'll be also showing you a sample of one of the books. Okay, children's books. There are 23, there are 22, my bad, I forgot to correct it. There are 22 books in level 1, and the remaining of the 8 weeks, we are doing other lesson plans. The lesson plans are intact, but they don't have books that are to be done. So in 1 week, probably there's a color poem. The other week, we are doing Healthy Minds, the one that I'll be showing you soon. So that's the general overview of this program. So Healthy Minds, for example, Healthy Minds is created by Dr. Richard Davidson, and he's been inspired by the 14th Dalai Lama. Center for Healthy Minds at University of Wisconsin-Madison is where we get this content from, and each lesson focuses on mindfulness and kindness, self, other, inner and outer world. That's like the overview of the Healthy Minds. I'm going to show you a very sweet video of
the Center for Investigating Healthy Minds is my passion for the rest of the time I'm doing work on this planet. Research that we're doing in our center invites us to consider the possibility of taking more responsibility for our own minds and brains. Neuroplasticity is a fact. Our brains are constantly being shaped, but most of the influence on our brains are influences that we're actually not aware of. We understand now that these qualities, which we don't normally think of as skills, should really best be regarded as skills. And so if we can develop secular training, kind of mental fitness training to cultivate qualities like mindfulness and kindness and compassion beginning in young children, I think most people would agree that this can have a profound influence on everything that we do. I invite all of you to become part of this incredible journey where we can make the world a better place.
So, content from this university has been included. These are the Healthy Minds lesson plans. Sorry. And so we also saw the mood meter yesterday, and I'm just showing it to you as a reminder here. The mood meter is an exceptionally strong and potent and robust way of actually bringing the concept of emotions to a tangible level. So what happens is I have an emotion, but I do not know how the emotion actually pans out in my body. So when you are marrying the whole mindfulness concept with emotions, and you also begin to realize, forget children, even you will realize for yourself, the moment you are a little stressed, there'll be a certain part of your body that will be twitching, or your headaches will start, or this shoulder ache. Why does it come? This shoulder ache comes from being having a certain sense of responsibility. It's just that. And we begin to realize that there's a strong connection between body, mind, and emotions. And that's what this mood meter really does at a very, very simple level. I mean, it's just so simplistically done, but it really drives the point home for 3-year-olds to understand that if I have an emotion, I can catch it and I can be aware of it. And when I can plot it on these 4 quadrants, then I have made it tangible, right? So that's what this ruler program is. It's an amazing concept. So we have so you have Healthy Minds that are part of the program. The ruler program is actually embedded into the lesson plans. And the lesson plan per se has many components, and one of the key components is action. Action basically means the bulk of the lesson. When we all do lesson planning, you all know your B.Eds, D.Eds, M.Eds, whatever, you know that we have introduction, and then we have development, and we have a recap, and we have a children's activity. Typically, that's what this is. Action is really the development of the lesson. Step-by-step guide to lesson plans and activities designed to act as a script to serve as the minimum of teaching that you should be doing. You read the lesson plans in advance, follow the lesson plans as a minimum. That's exactly, nobody's asking you to learn them by heart. We are saying keep the books next to you and use them. That's it. It's very simple. Okay. So what I'm now going to do is show you these resources. There are resources that you get. These are just resources that are part of the resource booklet, which you can get. They have different things in it. Many things are there in that. And we suggest that you prepare the resources before teaching and for the week that you teach, and if there are any ideas that you can come up. So this is part of our training when you actually take it up. I'm just introducing you to this concept. I am not really training you in it because that will be another session altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now read to you Lara the Yellow Ladybird. Okay, so Lara the Yellow Ladybird is a story. It's so relevant for us, no? So all of us are in yellow. So maybe what we can all do is all of us can switch on our videos, and there can be a nice splash of yellow all over here while I splash Lara the Yellow Ladybird. That's Lara. Lara the Yellow Ladybird. Can you see that? That's Lara the Yellow Ladybird. Lara the ladybird was a special bug. Unlike all her friends, she had bright yellow wings. Everyone loved her yellow wings. Each morning, Bibi Butterfly said hello, and Maria Mantis always waved. Even Sessa, the sulky spider, was happy to see her. At school, she played with lots of friends. But Lara wanted to be like the other ladybirds. I wish I had red wings like you, Mama, she cried. So one day, to cheer her up, Lara's mother painted her wings bright red. What do you see here, children? What do you see here? What can you see in this picture?
Mama is painting her wings.
Mama is painting her wings. And then?
The spider is not saying hi to her.
Okay, no, but right now while she's going there, right? Can you see Lara's face? How is she feeling?
She's feeling happy.
She's feeling happy because
Excited.
why do you think she's feeling happy?
She's got a red wing.
She's got red wings. Okay,
What she wanted, she's getting. Yeah.
let's see what happens. The next morning, nobody greeted Lara on her way to school. When she got there, none of her friends said hello. Lara sat all alone. No one noticed her new red wings until Miss Mia spotted her and said, "You painted your lovely yellow wings." Lara's classmates were shocked. "Your wings are so special, so unique, so rare." "Lara," Miss Mia said, "your yellow wings are what makes you you. Like Sifa's spot and Sally's legs. Back home, Lara took a long bath and scrubbed until her golden wings gleamed. "I'll never paint my wings again," she thought, except maybe once or twice. Or maybe to try a bit of purple or something nice. But not forever, and just for fun. That's the story of Lara the Yellow Ladybird. If I had to ask you to go back to our heart and you tell me, what are some of the things that, directly or indirectly kids are picking up from this story?
Celebration of diversity.
Wonderful. What else?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, self-acceptance. Very good. Here we have 3.
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence. Yes.
Perspective taking.
Perspective taking. Okay. All right.
Kindness.
Kindness. Okay. What else?
Self-regulation.
Self-esteem and inclusion as well. Yes. So because, I mean, aren't her friends so inclusive initially in the story?
Yes.
Yes.
They never even looked at her as different. She was just rare and unique. That's their attitude towards her. She's yellow and that's just who she is.
Creativity.
Creativity. Yeah, wow. Where did we see creativity?
Painting.
When she was painting her wings.
Yeah, and also at the end of the story when she says, I'll try a little bit of purple.
Purple or green, yes.
Purple or green.
Relationship
Just for fun.
Yes, relationship building.
Problem solving.
Problem solving.
Creativity, ma'am.
Yeah. Creativity, problem solving, every one of these. So are you just getting a feel of this? Imagine we have 22 such books in every level, which are overlapping and giving a flavor of each of these in some way or the other. So I'm not saying all 25 will get covered in every book. That isn't going to be possible. Having said that, you are getting a minimum of 3 to 4 of these as strong learning outcomes of each book, of each lesson. Now I'm going to share with you how the lesson plan for Lara's story looks. Okay. So here's our lesson plan 1. All right. This is how a typical action in the lesson plan looks. So there's vocabulary, there are other areas that come in the lesson plan. I'm not going into those right now. So a simple lesson plan. And this much together is the first lesson plan. That's it. So gather children together and tell the children what they're going to use their bodies, faces, and voices to show what is happening. We already did that, didn't we? We also used our bodies, faces, and voices just now in different ways. So for me, since I'd read this, I said, let me have these 2 activities. One was with the numbers and one was with the song that we did. And we can do this as well. Lead them on a call and repeat. I am jumping. So then watch me jump. You can create your own song. It just whatever. So there's a little song that you can have. And then tell them that today they're going to learn, they're going to read a story, listen to a story of Lara, the yellow ladybird. Read the book. Ask the children what they think a ladybird is. Some of them may not know about it. That's okay. I mean, in TMC, people didn't know what a ladybird is, but now kids didn't know and now they know. So, this, I was thinking about this whole concept of known to unknown. We say, education and learning should be set in that way. But आप मुझे सच बात बताओ, कभी ना कभी कोई भी known चीज हमारे लिए unknown थी ना. So someday we are going to be needing to be introduced to something new. So why not start it young? I mean, there's nothing wrong in if you learned what a knife was when you were 2, you learn what a ladybird was when you were 3. And it will be just knowledge for you. You will get it at that point. It doesn't matter. Children are learning so many different things at all odd ages. At 3, they're learning this. They learn that there is a ladybird, which is a little creature, little insect that is created by God. And our story is, ladybird's name is Lara. Lara, हमारे मेरे friends में किसी का नाम नहीं है, लेकिन होता है Lara एक नाम कहीं ना कहीं. So उसमें कोई गलत नहीं है सुनने में या I mean, I see absolutely no reason why it should be a big problem. Let me tell you, 30 years ago when I started as a preschool teacher in 1990, I have to share this with you. I was a teacher for an English medium school that was one of its kind, the first of its kind that had come up in the heart of Pune city called Appa Balwant Chowk. There cannot be more Pune than Appa Balwant Chowk. It's like the pulsating heart of Pune. We were teaching in Appa Balwant Chowk, so which then meant that we had mostly a very Maharashtrian kind of a crowd coming to our thing. But back then, the principal with whom I was working, she was so ahead of her times, God bless her, she's no more. She's so ahead of her times, she said, I don't see any reason why children can't do Peter and Jane series. or why they can't be told stories about the griffle and the gruffle. Tell them, because these are, at the end of the day, these are cute dragons. Why shouldn't they learn? I mean, why shouldn't they hear stories about griffle and gruffle and griffith? सुनने दो, उनके लिए नया है, लेकिन क्या फर्क पड़ता है? वो भी सुनाओ, अंजलि की स्टोरी भी सुनाओ, मीना की स्टोरी भी सुनाओ, हशीमा की स्टोरी भी सुनाओ, सब कुछ सुनाओ. But don't keep them away from it, saying that it is not our culture to do griffle and gruffle. But they are characters, and they're sweet characters, and they have a storyline, and they have some amazing take home, some amazing learning outcomes that are getting achieved through that. So we were doing those, and of course, with I was doing, when I was the class teacher of senior KG, I was doing Peter and Jane series as a strong series to do word building, vocabulary building. So you do this, you have discussions on Lara. What happened when Lara changed this special thing? What was unique to Lara? So let's remember at any given point that our focus is always on the emotion, on the feeling, on the social angle of the story. Our focus is really not on building their vocabulary. Like I said, that is an incidental fallout of this. Then you tell children that ladybirds are all different, and the things that make them different are also what make them special and unique. And people are also unique. So you're unique, then you can have different ways to look at who is unique and how they're unique, and how uniqueness is so beautiful. There is a celebration of diversities. We come to our lesson 2. Our lesson 1 is done. So if you're noticing, it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. Go to lesson 2. That means you did one lesson on Monday, you did the second lesson on Wednesday. Tell children today they will create themselves with their own special wings. Okay, for themselves. So first, encourage the children to think about themselves. So for example, I now tell you, all right, can you look at yourself? Can you look at your face? Look at your hair? Look at your clothing? And when especially you talk about the skin color, that's one thing that we are pressing upon. Of course, like I said, a lot of these details we'll be able to share with you. It's not that I don't want to share them with you, but it's just that we are short of time. But we have been pressing upon the fact that we are all shades of brown. There is nobody white and there is nobody black in this world. There is no concept of black, because there is no black. Skin color is never black. It is a darker brown and a lighter brown. That's it. So that's a concept we are driving home to children across the globe. So remind them that. Hand each of them a body outline, a template, which I'm showing you now very soon. Here. So now, let's do this. I'd like each of you to draw your own body outline right now. Here's your body shape for you. Take your papers, just draw an outline and draw yourself. Draw yourself, or if you want, you can draw anybody else. But I'd love that you draw yourself, because that will be wonderful to see. Are you all going to be able to look at this and just kind of do it? Of course, this is not how we tell our children. Our children are given this as a template, as an outline. But since we are doing this an online thingy, I can't share this with you. So let me see all of you drawing this, and please switch on your videos as you draw.
With pencil or with crayons, directly with crayons or with pencil?
Bilkul. Draw with crayons, color with crayons. Just enjoy yourself. There are no rules. Absolutely no rules. Just have fun. And as you have fun, I want to see you, because I want to click pictures of all of you drawing. And I'm also going to put some music. Isn't it a good idea to put some music right now, so that we can enjoy our drawing time? Let's put the feeling song.
I know sometimes it's hard to say, hey, what's your...
Oops.
Feel is alright. Some days it's sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Some days I feel like a mountain so high, like I could be a superhero flying through the sky. But then other days like a valley so low, like nobody cares if I stay or go. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Some mornings when I wake I'm like a kangaroo, jumping up and down, excited about what I'll do. But other days I don't wanna wake up at all. I'm like a sloth, moving with a slow crawl. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Raise your hand if you're mad today. Raise your hand if you're sad today. Raise your hand if you're happy today. Whatever you feel is okay. Raise your hand if you're tired today. Raise your hand if you're excited today. Raise your hand if you're worried today. It's okay. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright.
Awesome. Awesome. All right,
Remember
friends.
to like our Facebook page for new videos and updates.
And for chord sheets, teacher resources, and more, visit narwhalsandwaterfalls.com.
Okay,
Your goal
now.
is to create an extraordinary life that
Sorry.
works at a high level in every.
Now, so we get through this, and we also, like you have seen in this, hand each child a body outline template and help them draw any character on the templates. They can create themselves or a different person. This body outline will have wings glued to it in the end of the lesson to create a unique ladybird. So now you're going to see that when children come together, this is lesson plan 2, which is continued. You are going to tell them that these are the wings that you have, and now you're going to draw, and of course draw, we are already drawing it and giving it to them, but now they're going to color their wings. So here goes. Once more, I'm going to switch on the song, and you are going to take this shape of the ladybird's wings and make your own unique ladybird wings. Whatever color that you want, whatever type you want to make it. Go ahead and make your ladybird. Oh, wonderful. I'm getting to see some really nice. I like the way some of you are focusing on your artwork. Do that. It makes it really nice to see. Wow, Annette, I'm going to add you to the spotlight. Let's hear the song. Hey, hey, what's your mood today?
Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Some days I feel like a mountain so high, like I could be a superhero flying through the sky. But then other days like a valley so low, like nobody cares if I stay or go. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Some mornings when I wake I'm like a kangaroo,
jumping up and down, excited about what I'll do. But other days I don't wanna wake up at all. I'm like a sloth, moving with a slow crawl. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright. Raise your hand if you're mad today. Raise your hand if you're sad today. Raise your hand if you're happy today. Whatever you feel is okay. Raise your hand if you're tired today. Raise your hand if you're excited today. Raise your hand if you're worried today. It's okay. Hey, hey, what's your mood today? I know sometimes it's hard to say.
Wow.
Hey, what's your mood today? Whatever you feel is alright.
My lovely friend. What an amazing. How gorgeous is that? All right, now what I'm going to ask you to do is to please aim your your lovely artwork to the camera. It will yourself as well, so that when there is nobody in the room, picture. Says to his mother that. Oh, how beautiful is that? Please, everybody, look at that. Yeah. Right. Just put it right near the camera, everybody. I'm clicking pictures of these beautiful ladybirds. Bina, are you ready? Right now, I can see Bina, Suman, Sharvari, Rajashi, Chetrali on my screen here. So all of you, just hold it still and I'm going to click a lovely picture. And as you're holding it, nice, give a big smile. All right, let me go to the next screen and see if there's anybody else on the next screen. Manjari, very nice. Keep that in front. I'm taking a picture. Wow. SS, I don't know who that is, but that is so cute. Everybody look up and give me a smile. Ritu, you have your artwork? Would you like to show it? Assam? Good. Nisha, nice. I can see it well. Just have patience. Give me a minute. I need everybody to be ready. Fabulous. Taruna? 1, 2, 3. Hold still. Smile. Thank you, folks. And I have another set of people. Okay, here I'm not seeing anybody's pictures or drawing work here. I hope these people are around. Alrighty then. Thank you so much, guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. No, friends. See? Wow. One more round of photographs. Thank you. Okay. Now, this is just the artwork that went, and I did it only just for fun, just to bring some energy into our thing. But as you can quite clearly see, that the entire lessons have been geared towards having conversations in a circle everywhere. If you notice, gather them together, which means we get into a circle time and we have conversations around all the matters that have come into the lesson over here. So remind children that in the previous lesson, Lara, that what you did in that earlier class, the earlier day, remind them that in the book, Lara has lots of people who care about her, who encourage her. Remember, you also said about, you know, the family, the caring, the kindness, who say they love her yellow wings and they say kind things to her. Tell children that we all need friends who encourage us and see things about us that are unique and special about us. So we are also then having conversations about inclusion over here, very subtly, that we are all unique, we are all who we are, and that's what's beautiful about us. And see how Lara's friends really never ever thought that she was different. She had yellow wings, but that was okay for them. Remind children that just as other people notice things about us that are special and unique, we should also say kind things to other people and be nice about the things that make them unique and special. Tell children that they are going to play a game about being special. Teach children the following rhyme. Teach them to a beat if possible. My name is Manjushri. I'm happy to be me. I have friends here I'm happy to see. I am special. They are special. You are all special too. So you imagine if we are saying this like a chant with 40 children, every child getting an opportunity to say this without realizing it's getting ingrained. They are all going with the simple statement. Firstly, I'm happy to be me. You know it and I know it. It has taken us 30 and 40 years somewhere along the lines to start saying I'm happy to be me. Because more often than not, when we looked at ourselves in the mirrors, we were constantly looking at ourselves from the eyes of another person and we were then never happy. थोड़ा ना मेरे ना दांत थोड़े सीधे होते तो अच्छा रहता ना, थोड़ी हाइट और होती तो अच्छी रहती है. 5 feet 1 inch की हाइट है क्या? थोड़ी हाइट होनी चाहिए, थोड़ी आई थिंक I'm a little fat, थोड़ी थिन होती तो अच्छा. Forever we are not happy to be who we are. So very early our kids are picking up a statement that stays, and these are like chants that stay with them. I am happy to be me, whatever I am. Then there is another My Special Hair नाम की किताब है, उसमें उसके बालों के बारे में है. She says whatever your hair is, just be happy as they are. So there are so many such books where you are just celebrating who you are. All right, and here's this. That's it. That's I'm sorry, by mistake it's come as lesson plan 2. It's lesson plan 3. Have children stand in a circle, go around the circle and invite each child to say the rhyme. If they don't wish to, it's okay. Invite them to hold hands. They feel comfortable. When each child has had a turn, explain that they've just created a circle of kindness. Wow. So they're going, and then you can use this concept of circle of kindness as you go along. Now, for example, Lara the yellow lady bird is coming in the earlier weeks. Of course, now we've shifted the thing, but you've got this concept in week 12, for example. So for the next 18 sessions, you're going to be constantly coming into a circle and saying, okay kids, let's make the circle of kindness. Like Kavita explained, remember? She said that, one kind act to do every day, and then how everybody was just getting into the habit of a kind act. So they're going to do the same with the ladybirds, and then they have their ladybirds, and we talk about, is anybody's better, anybody's wings better? No, nobody's wings are better. Everybody's wings are as they should be. They are them, they're uniquely them. And then you do all of the artwork, craft work. So we've just put in that thought. And why is it so powerful? Because you remember yesterday, Amber showed us this beautiful graph of one line going down and one line going up. It was so simple. और हमें लगेगा कि यार इसमें क्या अचीव होगा. दोस्तों, बहुत कुछ अचीव होगा, क्योंकि the neuroplasticity of our children at the age of 3 and 4, when they are doing this, is so rich that they will pick it up. Even this much is enough for it to become a permanent thing in their minds. Because today we did this story, another week we'll be doing other stories which will have very similar themes running in them. And so that overlap will create better connections in their brain. So that's it. That's the way. Here you are, Lara the yellow lady bird, their own variation of it as it was done by TMC. So they did their own variation. They said, madam, we didn't have this thing, we wanted to do it this way. We said, wow, fantastic. Lara the yellow lady bird being done in another classroom in TMC. So we had 26 classrooms that were running this program in TMC in the whole of last academic year. Last, as in last, 19 to 20. And they all did look at their ladybird wings. Aren't they so cute? This was done by Akal Academies. This was one of the schools in Akal Academies in the north. We were running this program in 40 schools in Akal Academies. So she told me, she said, madam, uske mummy papa ne khud bana ke bheja ghar se, Lara the yellow lady bird, क्योंकि उसने घर पे जाके सारी स्टोरी बता दी, तो उसकी मम्मी पापा को बोला कि मुझे भी लेडी बर्ड बनना है. So enthusiastic, they bought chart paper और उसके पास खुद उसका जैकेट वैकेट था. So they made it. All right. So the next picture, I'm going to end today with another story which I want to read to you, because it has another set of concepts that are coming in. and then we'll take some quick questions and we'll break for lunch. All right, just let me share with you the other story that I have in mind, because I know you guys will really enjoy that story. 1 second, huh? Just give me 1 second. Ha. I have a plan. Now you'll see how from Lara, the yellow lady bird, this one has so many different things that are going to come into the picture. It is, in that sense, there is no overlap from Lara's story. That's why I wanted to just share this story with you, to leave you on the thought that, see, this has another set of things. I've showed you some pictures also. I'll show you that in my PPT as well. So the story says, I have a plan. I have a plan, written by Shamim Ahmed and illustrated by John Cox. All right. Once, deep in the country, there was a peaceful farm where animals lived side by side and never came to harm. A cow, a pig, a sheep, a hen, best of friends they were, and they all loved the farmyard cat, the cat with silky fur. Now, one fine morning, Cat woke and something wasn't right. He wriggled and jiggled and he clawed with all his might. I know what's wrong, he realized. I know what's up, said he. I'll go and ask my friends for help. They are sure to all help me. So where did Cat go? Who did Cat go to first? Who do you see? Hey, yes, the cat.
Cow.
Yes. So Cat went to see Cow, who was standing by the plough. Excuse me, Cow, please help me. Help you, Cat? Of course I can. See, I've got this problem. Say no more. I have a plan. You are feeling rather chilly. I can see that straight away. Wear this hat and you will feel warmer. Off you go. Enjoy the day. Cat muttered as he walked away. That didn't go quite right. I'll try another animal. Next time perhaps it might. So Cat went to see Pig, who was munching on a fig. Excuse me, Pig. Please help me. Help you, Cat? Of course, I can. See, I've got this tiny problem. Say no more. I have a plan. You are feeling slightly poorly. Oh yes, that is crystal clear. Take this pill and you'll feel better. Put your feet up now, my dear. Cat mumbled as he turned away. I really don't feel ill. I just need to explain myself. Next time, I'm sure I will. So, Cat went to see Sheep, who had just fallen asleep. Wake up, Sheep! Please help me. Help you, Cat? Of course I can. See, I've got this teeny problem. Say no more. I have a plan. You are feeling really hungry. I can see that in a trice. Eat this grass and you'll feel better. Try it, Cat. It's really very nice. Cat grumbled as he tramped away. Oh, why is this so hard? Cats don't eat grass. She should know that. I'll see who's in the yard. So Cat went to see Hen, who was pecking in her pen. Excuse me, Hen, please help me. See, help you, Cat? Of course I can. See, I've got this tiny problem. Say no more. I have a plan. What's happening? You are feeling somewhat, I'm sorry, I can't see it here. You are feeling somewhat gloomy. Just stick around a while. I'll do a funny dance for you. It's sure gonna make you smile. But Cat didn't smile or laugh or joke. Poor Cat just slunk away. I've tried to tell them how I feel. I guess it's not my day. Then Cow and Pig and Sheep and Hen all finally stopped and thought, whatever can be wrong with Cat? He's really out of sorts. His friends all gathered around him, where he slumped beneath the trees. What is your problem, little cat? We are listening. Tell us, please. My problem's such a small one. I'm embarrassed, don't you see? I've got a really itchy back. Could you please scratch it for me? But why didn't you tell us? The animals all shout. I tried, said Cat. You didn't let me get any words out. His friends were so sorry. Cat, can we start anew? Next time, we'll listen, not just talk. Oh, please forgive us. Please do. And Cat, of course, forgave them all. A smile replaced his frown. And they scratched and scratched and scratched his itchy back until the sun went down. Scratch, 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 scratch. So do you see another set of amazing learning outcomes that can be achieved through these and many more such endearing stories. So that's the Samantha program that is really taking the world by storm, and we are looking to. And so one of the activities in this thing are these masks that children can wear, and they can do acting about the cat and the thing. So that's why that was a picture that was done. I put there. All right, so we are done. I hope that give you a little bit of insight into the program, into the learning outcomes. And like I've been telling a lot of people, I don't see any reason why we need to reinvent the wheel when this is really available for all of us. So well thought out, so well done. And let's understand that this is not to market the concept, because it's not about marketing. It's about a mission that we want all of you to join us in. So whether you do it your way, whether you go back to your classrooms and decide to create something of your own, that's another matter. But if there is something ready and so well done and very well researched, I think it's really worth exploring having it for your own spaces. So thank you so much. Are there any questions that you have right now that you'd like to ask before we break for lunch?
Ma'am, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for such a lovely session. I'm sure the participants, they are enjoying right from the beginning. I must tell you, I'm watching you once in the month of, I think, October or November. That was your first session. And now from last 4 days, I am watching you very closely. And what I have found that you're full of energy. Whatever, I'm sure whatever topic is given to you, will definitely speak on that part. That much I can assure you. Ma'am,
whatever, I'll not be able to speak on that.
Another important thing, ma'am, right now there are no questions, but I would like to ask questions. If you allow me, then I'll start.
Please, of course.
Ma'am, you have given such a lot of information regarding the Samantha program. I would like to know, so for example, if somebody wants to join Samantha, so what are the eligibility criteria in order to join Samantha? Is there any eligibility criteria?
Eligibility
qualification
would primarily be in what capacity? 1, 2. Right now, Dr. Ansari, we are doing most of our work as volunteers. Like I said, I'm volunteering. I'm volunteering in the entire program because I believe in the power of this entire mission. So curriculum is a tool to achieve a mission. Prima facie, this is a mission of going out there into the classrooms and making them strong social and emotional learning systems, learning ecosystems. So with regards to how you can join with us, we have to just basically look at connecting as volunteers and seeing how we can take this to many and more preschoolers across our country, from the remotest parts to even the children are children. We don't differentiate between the SES. I mean, their social emotional status should not be a prejudice in our mind. So English medium को नहीं देना है, मराठी medium को देना है, सिर्फ गांव के बच्चों को देना है, ऐसे नहीं है. SEL सबकी जरूरत है. So we were ready to go to the schools that are in the heart of the city of Mumbai and those that are in the heart of a village in Chandrapur or in Chhattisgarh or in Mizoram. Wherever we are looking to reach out to our little learners. That's it.
Ma'am, why I'm asking, ma'am, because during this pandemic, many people have lost their job. So I think this is one of the good option, because people normally ask, from last 4 days, whatever I have observed in my society also, many time people are asking, क्या अंसारी सर आप दिन भर दिखाई नहीं पड़े, कहाँ थे आप, आज दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहे आज. There is something important going on. So while discussing yesterday, one of the ladies, she's highly educated. So I spoke to her. Please see on the YouTube. You will definitely see Miss Manjushri Patel. She's talking about the Samantha program. If you feel, then she asked me, sir, if suppose I want to join. I said, okay, no issue, because even I don't know what are the criteria. But then she was asking about the timing, because normally people they are very curious when they ask about the timing part. Then she was asking about the nature of work.
Yeah.
So
what I will suggest is over here, what you can do is you can have her connect with me or with Mona, with Manavi, and we will keep her in mind when and if and when we are looking to recruit anybody in the project right now. What has happened is we are flipping it the other way. If the project picks up and there is a need for somebody to be a coordinator for that location or locality, then we are looking to have somebody, because let's also understand this is a not-for-profit, it's a global not-for-profit, global NGO. So money is a crunch there as well.
Because normally, ma'am, at the end, people are asking how much I will get.
Absolutely.
That is
that's not wrong. You cannot decide for other people whether they have to do something as a social endeavor.
It is their right, madam. It is their right to ask us all these things. Kaise karna hai, kitna hai,
correct.
All those things.
Manvi, there are some questions that are coming. I am not able to answer while I'm talking. Can you just help me with some of the questions? What is the duration of the program?
That's one that I see right now.
Yeah, I said 30 weeks. 30 weeks every 30 weeks of term time. That is 2 terms if we have in our country. So 15 weeks every term. And it goes on for 3 years. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 typically is for 3 to 4 year olds. Level 2 is 4 to 5 year olds. And level 3 is 5 to 6 year olds.
Ma'am, right now,
that will be better if you can circulate some of the pamphlets can be put up on screen during the breaks or during that time. That will spread out more information when we have small breaks.
Can I make a request? We will type, Manvi, if you can type.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
So
that's a good suggestion.
Type our website, Manvi, because that has all the information, all of this part and all of that is all there. So why don't you just have a look at the website, and also like our Facebook page, because then you'll get to see updates. Right now, there've been absolutely no updates because the program has been completely quiet since the entire pandemic, because it's a very in-person program. So we haven't been able to do much in the schools right now in this year. But that's okay. This too shall pass.
Ma'am,
fantastic idea, sir. We will do, Ansari sir, we can do during the breaks. We can highlight the website and any other information related to the program. We will tell our volunteers. That will good for the participants.
Ma'am, excuse me, Manjushri ma'am, there is one person on the YouTube, Meera Swami. She is saying that I too want to contribute to Samantha as a volunteer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I make her a request to connect with me on the mail ID that I had shared yesterday? It's can you?
Yes.
It's Manjushri.
I can mention the ID also along with the website details.
On the YouTube channel where we are live.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Lovely, ma'am. Ma'am, with this kind word, I would just like to come to the end of the session. But every session, whatever we do has to come to an end. So I must say, I must quote this according to law holds. Ability is what you are capable of doing. Ability is what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. I repeat, attitude determines how well you do it. So without wasting much time, I will request one of our student teacher, Ms. Preeti Rathore, to propose the formal vote of thanks and the rest of the announcement of the technical session 3. Over to Ms. Preeti Rathore.
Thank you, sir. Social and emotional learning provides a foundation for safe and positive learning and enhances student ability to succeed in school, career, and in life. I, Preeti Rathore, on behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, would like to express my profound gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Manjushri Patil, founder director of Atman Academy, for being here with us and enlightening us on the topic social and emotional learning, outcomes, and more. To summarize, ma'am spoke about 25 social emotional learning outcomes and more, namely the self-confidence, self-awareness, self-esteem, and so on. Ma'am also showed us how we as teachers can inspire our students that emotion and behavior are not good or bad, but appropriate or inappropriate in social context. And finally, with the help of a story, Lara the Yellow Ladybird showed us what makes you different is what makes you special and unique to celebrate oneself. Thank you so much, ma'am. Behind every successful event, there is a team working tirelessly to make the event a grand success. To begin with, I would like to thank our in-charge principal, Dr. Bhagwan Balani, our in-charge vice principal, Dr. Mandeep Kochar, and all the faculty members of Bombay Teachers Training College for your constant support and encouragement. I would also like to thank the organizing secretaries, Dr. Mandeep Kochar, Dr. Lubna Mansoori, and Dr. Neelu Verma for coordinating and organizing such a wonderful session for all of us. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. M.E. Ansari for moderating this session and for giving me this privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Also, thanks to all the volunteers, the council members, social media team, Miss Anju, Miss Zubia, Miss Salome, and Miss Priya for working tirelessly backstage. Last but not the least, thanks to our wonderful audience for your enthusiastic participation in today's session. Now, I would request all the participants to please fill the feedback form for today's session. Thank you once again. We now have a lunch break from 1 to 2 p.m. But stay tuned for the third technical session on the topic The Power of Narrative with eminent speaker Miss Ela Arun. Thank you.
तो ऑडियंस कहीं मत जाइएगा, लंच के बाद आपको वापस आना है 2 बजे. तब तक के लेते हम ब्रेक, फिर मिलेंगे ब्रेक के बाद. थैंक यू.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
The feedback form, it's not there in the chat.
At the end of the day.
End of the day, you will get feedback.
Okay, fine.
Form.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. No. Okay, fine.
Okay, Manjushri, ma'am. Bye. Meet you after the lunch. Yeah. Thank you.
Goodbye, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We would need to stop streaming on YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
Ranjit sir, please do the needful, sir. Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.